This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast. You know what I was thinking, Mag, is that I'm kind of frustrated and disappointed that Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't a period piece video game. I saw a clip for LA Noire, a game that a lot of people liked. I didn't love the game as much as most people, but it made me think how Rockstar is just amazing at capturing the moment of a culture and an era, 92, LA and San Andreas, and I think it would have been even better if Grand Theft Auto 6 took place in like 88 or maybe 87, a couple of years after the 1985 Vice City. Your thoughts?
I would have gone with the 1970s.
Ooh.
There was a rumor years ago. I don't know if you guys remember this, folks. Hi, everybody. Yeah.
Welcome to the XC Podcast. I thought we just
welcome to the XC Podcast. Open. We just start mid conversation. We don't even say hello, just mid conversation, as if Colt and I are like stoned on a park bench somewhere, just talking about weird stuff. This is what happens.
If you could be any color flying through space,
exactly.
What would it be?
You remember the rumors years ago that it was going to start in the 70s and it was going to be about some of it was going to take place in like Mexico with the Sinaloa cartels and like Pablo Escobar and all that. I mean, it wouldn't actually be Pablo Escobar, but it'd be like, the Rockstar rendition of
Pablo
him or
Francisco.
whatever. Yeah, they would just call him something else like Pablo Francisco. And then they did that. And then it was going to move into the 70s, in the late 70s. And you were going to play as a female in Mexico. And then it was going to make its way into the United States and then eventually end up in Vice City in the 80s. And it was going to be like a lead up to Vice City. And I'm like, dude, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm in. Like, how amazing would that have been?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I say I would want something like 87 or 88, but then you say 70s and they haven't really done that. Like, it was so cool. Like, capture the essence of that era of car. They make those cars, you got the music that you could pull from. We didn't get our contraband, which would have been our 70s thing.
Dude, I would have had like a 17-foot Impala, roof down, just driving down the street with like a couch for a back seat. Ashtrays all over the car because you could smoke in them in those days. Damn it, that'd be so hot.
Yeah, that would have been great.
No ABS brakes on the cars.
If you played Driver back in the day on the PlayStation 1, that was like your open world city 1970s era, chase game, right? I don't know. Yeah, it did take place in like the mid 70s, right? Driver. Because you had like this...
I don't remember.
You had like this Chevelle or this Nova type car. You don't remember the game. I mean, I remember that, oh my gosh, the loading. When you put the disc in, you had to wait like 8 minutes for the game just to load up to the menu as it spooled the disc up. But that game's fantastic. And you drove this black Chevy Nova or maybe Chevelle-ish.
No, I remember like the game. I remember the game. I just don't remember like the details, like when it took place and like the era and stuff. I just remember like some of the missions and stuff. Like you have to do this and this, and then you have to drive in the underground parking garages and stuff. It was wild.
The chat can help us out. Like it had the light coming in from the blinds, and it was like that 70s like crime thriller vibe going on. And I see a lot of things in the chat. Welcome. This is XC Podcast. We're episode 244. Mag and I did a surprise show just last Friday, which was pretty cool, Mag, because we got to hang out with some people from the UK and in Europe that were watching the show that normally it's their bed. They're asleep when we do the show. So we got a whole different set of people to hang out with, and I'm sure you saw them reach out. It's cool.
Well, dude, 80% of the chat, I didn't even recognize the names.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at the names. Like, I mean, obviously there's like some of the usual suspects, and I'm looking down, I'm like, people. I'm like, I don't know who they are. Do I have a good PC truth? It's good. Not amazing, but it's good. It's great. I don't use it for gaming though. I use it for YouTube only. That's it. It's down here in the studio. It's part of my YouTube Streamlabs, streaming, gaming, not gaming, but like streaming of my games and stuff, YouTube stuff. All that's it. That's all I use it for. So Yeah, I don't want to muddle it up with nonsense because, like, YouTube being my livelihood here, it's exclusively for that. It's exclusively for that. Just YouTube, no farting around, no downloading weird stuff, no Pirate Bay, no gaming. You know what I mean? I don't want any of that nonsense going on. It's just for YouTube.
I got that question was put up on socials yesterday. Some big account said, which console are you getting next? And it said Project Helix or PS6. And I wrote, I'm definitely getting the Helix because I have tons invested in Xbox console and PC games. And a couple of people are like, Colt, you have a PC. Why do you need one? And that's part of some of the stuff we're going to dive into today. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about Project Helix. Meg and I have been doing some deep dives into everything that people are talking about, the lead up to GDC, some of the leaks coming from GDC, because the big reveals are coming by Wednesday of this week. And we're going to talk about some of the misnomers and misinformation about the next console and some very exciting, hopeful things that could be happening or why they would or wouldn't. There's a whole lot to cover. And before we do, I'm going to grab Kung Fu Hot Dog's question. Thank you so much for the 5. He asked just before the show went up, he says, hey, Colt, what's the origin of Be Nice? Is it how you were raised or somehow connected to religion? And then he says, Mag, hope you're doing well, bro.
Thank you very much, Kung Fu. Yep.
So, I mean, sure. I mean, I guess you could say it was religious to be nice, but it came at a time when my YouTube channel was first starting to grow and everyone would argue about everything, right? And I would give out the news. And so I said, just be nice. And I didn't realize it. I think I've said this on the show a long time ago. Mag might remember. But when I said be nice, I used to like really embellish the word because I didn't realize subconsciously it was coming from a small moment in the 1989 movie UHF with Weird Al Yankovic. So
with Conan the Librarian, yeah.
Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System? We used to slow that down on the VHS tape when he would take the sword and chop the guy down, and it was like a paper mache model it cut to. And it goes, excellent. So there's just a small moment in UHF where the mob kidnaps Stanley Spadowski, who's played by Michael Richards or Kramer, and the mobster guy's like doing like the typical Italian mobster thing, and he's like, I don't want to have to hurt you, so be nice. And I don't know why, like that's where it came from.
Just stuck with you?
It just stuck with me since 1989. That's where I got Be Nice. So,
well, fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, Mag, and I didn't update the ticker at the bottom of topics when we did the show on Friday. I didn't realize it till this morning. But we've got a lot to talk about. So, but before we get into it, I thought we did break the ice about Grand Theft Auto and period piece games, yeah. But I went back to a super gem. I'm loading up my Xbox ROG Ally X because I'm flying to Phoenix at the end of the week, and correct. I wanted something really like to hold my attention on the plane if I don't sleep. And I installed Hogwarts Legacy. And
a lovely game.
We love that game, but when I put it on my computer, and last night I was playing it on the ROG Ally, bro, how do people not talk about this game? It's better than the movies.
It sold 35 million copies, dude. It's not like nobody was talking about it. Like, I mean, it did incredibly well. I have yet, which I'm so glad that it sort of fell in the cracks of the backlog on the PlayStation side, because on the Xbox, I remember I promised when it came out, because I'm such a huge Harry Potter fan, I said, listen, I'm going to get 1,000 out of 1,000 on Xbox, and then I'm going to go buy it on the PlayStation and get the platinum. So I did the Xbox. It's a big game. I did the Xbox. I got my 1,000 on Xbox, and then I bought it for PlayStation on sale. It was on a deep sale. I believe you could buy it for like $15 now or something like that. Like, yeah. Really, really good sales. And then I just found out, and of course, you know how life is. Life kind of goes on, gaming goes on, and then all of a sudden those games sort of fade into the ether of the backlog, right? And I never touched it on PlayStation. I just found out that it's getting the PSSR 2 update next week when they drop that big thing. So I'm like, oh, yeah. Maybe in between some of these massive bangers this year, I might be able to squeeze in the Legacy in there. I want to see what it looks like when it's running on that PSSR 2. I don't play on PC, which would obviously be it would be the ultimate experience if you own the ultimate PC. but you know that's the thing. Like, there's a stigma around that always makes me kind of laugh. Where everybody's like, "Well, the superior version's always on the PC," and I'm like, "Yeah, but 70% of people have PCs that are less powerful than a Series X and a base PS5. So let's get real. You know what I mean?
It's not even that, Mag.
You know,
I bought it for $21 last year because I thought I would see.
Yeah, I bought it for like super cheap, dude, like half off or something.
Because on the Series X, I played it at performance mode. I didn't play at 30, whatever, 45 FPS with ray tracing. I'm like, oh, it's not worth it. I'll play it at 60, and I loved it to death. So I loaded it up on PC with all the bells and whistles, and I'm like, I do this a lot, right? And I'm sitting like this close to a huge TV, and I'm like, looks good.
No, not doing it for you there.
You know, I mean, it looks good, but I mean, am I going to write home? Am I going to send a letter from like the battlegrounds in the Eastern Front and say, this is amazing? No, it does look good, but I think you'll get
does it.
Really...
You almost made me. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, he said something. I thought you were done your thought. I was going to say, he says, I'm just upset at what Xbox did to us since the Xbox 350. And I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, Easy does it. Found a way between the original Xbox and the 360. He got the prequel, the 350, ladies and gentlemen, but he actually corrected himself like right after he put 360. And I'm like, oh, that was amazing. But
it was a dev kit.
Funny.
Yeah,
it was a dev kit. Easy does it had the dev kit. So congratulations on getting that dev kit, dude. Sell it on eBay. You'll make tens of thousands.
Anyway, it was just a passing moment, Meg. I know that you and I love the game to death, and
love it.
I walked
I'm a
by
Harry Potter nut.
I'm not, and I love the game to death, and it's just so good. I just played a few minutes. I'm like, there's so much wonder in this game. I'm excited about the sequel. And then I was walking in the other room the next day, and my son was continuing. He loaded up his save because he heard me talking about it. He loaded up his save and played for a couple hours on the Xbox Series S. And I was like, gosh, dang, that game looks good. And it runs pretty well on the Series S. Like it does 60 and then drops.
It's on the Series S.
Yeah, Series S. Like it runs at 60 and then it chugs. Like when you're doing stuff, it chugs and it comes back. But I'm watching it, I'm like, and it's still like he's playing it really well. But anyway, I don't know why I wanted to talk about that. It was just
well, you were talking about what you were playing because you were talking about flying a Phoenix and then you loaded up on the ROG and whatever else. Just Resident Evil, dude. That's it. I've been. I did my marinated review on the Friday. Released on the Friday, and did that. Then we did our show, and then I finished 3 runs. I'm on my 4th run now on insanity level, or insanity difficulty, whatever. It is fairly unpleasant. These zombies, even with the Requiem gun with infinite ammo, I am struggling with some parts because it's tough. But enjoyable nonetheless. It is, like I said in my review, if anybody didn't watch it, it's a masterclass in development. It's a masterclass in storytelling, just across the board. And it will be, for me anyway, it will be the gold standard of, for every game that I play this year will be measured up against that as the gold standard. And I'll say, okay, how do you stand up? I mean, I know there's obviously games of different genres and stuff like that. It's not what I'm talking about. It's not when I play Forza Horizon, I'm going to say, well, if people get that, well, that's a racing game and this is a horror game. I'm like, I understand. I'm talking about in terms of presentation, quality, you know what I mean? Like a visual fidelity, sound, all that kind of stuff. And everything will be measured up against Resident Evil as the gold standard for 26, including GTA 6. GTA 6 is not off the hook. I got to see that thing running and in my hands with a controller, playing it, and then I'm going to say, was it as good as Resident Evil? So, Capcom is cooking this year, man. They got Monster Hunter, whatever the hell it is, Stories or whatever, 3. I don't play the Monster Hunter games. That apparently is a very, very, very popular series. And then on top of that, we've also got, what's it called? The hell's that game with the little girl on the dude's back?
Pragmata.
Pragmata's coming out, and then a lot of people talking about that. Smart idea for releasing a demo because it's like a new IP. Nobody knew what it was, and it was just awesome. And so just like, okay, let's go, man. Let's go. So like I'm going to buy Pragmata as well. And then there's even the possibility, even though not confirmed, there's still a possibility that we might get Onimusha this year. So Onimusha is another one. I loved the Onimusha games back in the day. I don't know if y'all played them or were old enough to play them, but Cybergunter pre-ordered Pragmata. There you go. If you haven't played the Onimusha games, they were amazing. They're basically Resident Evil like set in like samurai times. So cool.
And yeah, just a gorgeous looking game too. This one's like super modernized looking, and yeah, it's 2026 is kind of an insane year. It's kind of been off to a slow start for me, but a lot
That's
of
because you're not a Resident Evil fan.
Yeah, well,
buy the game.
I'll probably buy the game.
You're gonna buy the game. I know you have no self-control. You're like me with like bad life decisions when it comes to alcohol and cigars. I have no self-control. And so like when someone says, "Hey, do you want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." Like I don't even wait for them to finish the sentence. You're gonna buy the game because you have no willpower. None. You have no willpower. I'm willing you to purchase the game as soon as the show's over. The chat is helping me.
I've been sold on it by a couple friends, and even Fonz was like, "I think I'm gonna pick it up." And so I texted him today. He picked it up yet? He goes, "No, I haven't had time." So as soon as he gets it, I'll get it as well. We've got Crimson Desert coming out next Tuesday, like basically 8 days from now, and that's going to be
I think it's the 19th, isn't it? The 19th, which would be the Thursday, because Tuesday is St. Patrick's Day. That's why I know about that.
Oh, it's the end of the week. Okay. Okay.
I think it'll be Thursday the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so Cybergunner's saying the 19th, so it's Pandemonium.
Close to my daughter's birthday, so I'm just gonna have to tell her that she doesn't get a birthday this year because I'll be busy.
Okay, can I ask you a question about this Crimson Desert situation here?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I get messages, dude. I get messages like every day, DMs nonstop, every single day. Mag, what do you think about this? What do you think about? Nobody. What? They DM you, but they don't. They're DMing me about Crimson Desert, and they're like, I'm kind of not sold on this. What do you think about it? They're asking my opinion, right? And I'm like, that's fair. And I tell them the same thing. I'm like, listen, man, I'm not sold on it. And I'm telling you why. I'm not sold on it. I'm just being skeptical. I'm not being negative.
Sure,
I'm being skeptical because I've been gaming for 47 years. Dude, over these decades, I have been burned so many times before in the past with promises of excellence, with promises of this is going to be the greatest video game ever, and people whip themselves up in this total false hope frenzy that I'm like, guys, just chill out. I know you've seen it, but chill out till it gets out there. We got to get the game in people's hands. And the thing is, as it stands, and people keep busting that guy's chops. I can't remember his name, the guy who runs the studio. They're like, why haven't we seen console gameplay
that yet? Will Powers guy? Yeah.
Yeah, the Will Powers guy. I mean, he sounds like a 80s porn star. You know what I mean? It's like Sorority Girls 5 starring Will Powers.
Will Powers.
Chest Rockwell. Will Powers in
Dick Hardman.
Sorority Skiers 3. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it just, like, anyways, everybody's been retweeting and busting this guy's chops, and he's freaking out about, like, did you see some of the angry responses he put on Twitter? He's like, will you guys leave me alone, or whatever the hell he said. And,
it's been a problem.
Dude, it's whatever. It's 11 days from the release of the game. No console footage shown. And the word is that Digital Foundry will get console footage. This is not confirmed, but it was just being said.
No, it is.
Digital Foundry. It is confirmed? Okay, yeah. Okay. I thought it was still unconfirmed. I stand corrected. So they'll get console footage, but the word is it might not release until the day that the review embargo comes out, which is like 2:00 in the morning, the day the game comes out. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am old enough to be skeptical because I have seen it all, and well, not all, almost all, and I have pretty much done it all, and I've experienced almost everything that this industry has to offer up to this point. And I could tell you this, I'm sorry, but alarm bells go off in my head going, bro, I'm not saying you're going to be bad. I'm not saying I'm not going to buy you, but I'm looking at you side-eyed until I get the community's feedback. I need the community's feedback. I want to hear from the chat.
All right, chat, I want you to, by the command of Mag, the almighty Crimson Desert purveyor, I want you to write your predicted review score down to the number. What number do you think Crimson Desert's going to get for review score? I'm going to write mine in. I'm going to wait a few seconds so you don't think that I've got it written here. I'll hit send. What Metacritic out of 100, 0 to 100, do you think that Crimson Desert's going to get? What Mag's saying is that Pearlbiz said we're sending PlayStation versions of the game footage to them so Digital Foundry can break it down themselves and show you what it looks like on console. They said, we're not hiding anything. Here, I'm going to hit mine because I haven't looked at you yet.
Oh, really?
They said that in that statement, they said, we haven't sent anything or talked about the PlayStation version because we feel like people won't believe us and think it's still PC. Now, when they say that, I'm like, remember when we were talking about Hogwarts and I was kind of like, I've played enough games on console and PC to know sometimes the biggest difference is and we're not talking path tracing on most games when they're going back and forth. Sometimes the biggest difference is how many extra frames you get, but when you're looking at YouTube, you might not see that, and the compression ratio or the in motion stuff that happens on YouTube is pretty piss poor. So I'm not defending Pearl Abyss. I think the game will look great. I think it's going to chug like heck in that open world. I think it's going to have frame rate issues. It's going to still look really, really great. It might look gritty and grainy on the consoles. PSSR 2.0 is supposed to be supported on Crimson Desert. I expect Crimson Desert to look really sharp compared to the other console versions. I expect Crimson Desert to look a lot like the PC version on PS5 Pro. But I am with you, Mag. I'm really super stoked for this game. You're not, is like I am, but I am super
No, it's not
worried.
that I'm not stoked. I'm not stoked. It's not that I'm not stoked because I saw the footage. I've watched the trailers. I've watched the breakdown and all that stuff. And I'm like, this game looks awesome. So like, I don't want people to get their panties in a knot by what I'm saying. I'm excited for it. I'm just saying I'm being skeptical and a little bit, like a little bit skeptical. That's basically what
I am too.
Forget any other words. I'm just a little skeptical, and I have every right to be because it just doesn't. There's something funky. I don't know what it is, man. But I'm telling you,
it's not a set thing. Like it's not like you looking at a set franchise that you have expectations for. Pearl Abyss said this was going to be an MMO. They've made it into an open world single player only game. So the trepidation is totally normal. I'm maybe a bit more excited for the game than you are because, I've made a video on it and stuff, but I do have my issues. My big issue is I worry that Crimson Desert might be too overwhelming. Like, cause, we got to get into this Helix and stuff and Asha Sharma and Satya. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but, this is good discussion.
I was going to say one last thing before. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just say this. I played the game at PAX. I might've said this last week or before. I feel like I said it out loud. I played the game at PAX. I couldn't remember all of the button combos and I skipped the tutorial. I think I said that the other day. Like that kind of worries me. Like I don't want to feel like I can't get a grasp on this big game, but hey, hopefully my opinion is like, hopefully it makes me fall in love with the game. And so I'm just excited. I hope it's good. Just go ahead.
Hey, I hope it's awesome too. There was one last thing I was just going to say, and this is the only thing I was going to say when you were talking about the PS5 Pro. Majority of people don't have a PS5 Pro. The majority of people on the console levels on the Xbox and PlayStation have a Series S, is the dominant selling platform on the Xbox, and the base PS5, not the Pro. So my questions are for those people that have those base PS5, the base PS5, the Series S, and the Series X. That's what I want to know because that's where the majority of the gamers are. There's only a small. I know it's growing right now because of, whatever, word of mouth and all that kind of stuff, especially with a game like Resident Evil. But there's still a small percentage that have a PS5 Pro, nothing close to what those other three consoles that I mentioned, is Series X, S, and base PS5. So those, that's the majority of gamers. And if that thing has trouble over there, you're going to run into, someone said it over there earlier, but that they, you might have another Cyberpunk on your hands in terms of performance, right? So like that could seriously hinder the experience. But anyways, we're just gonna have to wait and see, dude. And listen, I can't wait to get up Thursday morning. And still hungover from St. Patrick's Day, by the way. I just like to point that out 2 days later. And I can't wait to get up to Thursday morning, and I'm just going to be reading those reviews and checking things out. But I want to hear from the gamers because I've noticed something with the media and the actual gamers, whether it's review bombing or not. There seems to be a lot of polarization between the media and the actual gamers where, they're giving it one score and the actual gamers are like, dude, we're playing this thing. I don't know what the hell they were playing, but this game ain't it or whatever, right? Yeah. Or the players are giving higher scores than the media were and whatever, right? So there seems to be this polarization between the media and the user base, right? Just like Hollywood, it's spilled into the gaming industry, right? So now I'm starting to believe the media less and less and absolutely less. And so I believe them less and less. I believe the gamers first. So I would rather reach out to my community, to your community, to just the gaming community in general. And I'd rather talk to these people in our chat and say, hey, XNC folks, what did you guys think about it? You put your comments in there, your DMs, and I would listen to them before I listen to any of these media guys. I would listen to the gamers first. That's just me.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think that Crimson Desert's going to be like an 84, and that might feel disappointing because this game, like when it came out on the scene like 2 years ago, everyone's like, oh my gosh, like we're all taking notice. To be fair, it is doing a lot of things that most games don't do. Like it's allowing you to do everything. It's very ambitious, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to see how it'll go. You know, it'll be one of those things like
news.
It's a $70 dice roll for me. I mean, even though it's like my type of thing, third person, open world, right. Like it's got all those, you know, it's got a little bit of Red Dead, it's got a little bit of Zelda Breath of the Wild, like all that.
Dude, I love open world fantasy.
Sure,
Are you kidding
too.
me? I'm an open world nut.
Yeah.
I've been playing, like I play all the Ubisoft open worlds and I just play them for like dozens, if not hundreds of hours. Like I love open world, like, you know what I mean? Fantasy or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff, even the Red Deads and all. I mean, I love those games. I put in hundreds of hours in those games. So it's not like I don't like the genre. I adore the genre. It's just this specific situation. I'm just like, I'm going to wait just to see how it goes down. And if everybody's like, Meg, green light, you got to go for it. Then I go for it. And then I'll stream it on the channel. What the hell? Let's have some fun. But
yeah, if one of your buddies that likes the same kind of game says it's good to go, then I'll go for it. As Yodani Kazana goes, genre. I love it how Mag says genre. We say it differently down here in the States, but
in the
someday we will all become one. The U.S. and Canada conglomerate will all join. The flag will be, you know, stars and stripes with the chronic leaf on it. Is that what you guys have?
The chronic leaf, yeah. And then you guys can actually say niche instead of niche, which is
I say niche,
which is
my
not
Canadian,
an actual. I know you say niche, but like niche is not an actual word,
right? Because I'm close enough.
Like,
I'm 5 hours from the Canadian border, so I count. Yeah.
Critico from Viva la Portugal. How you doing, buddy? He's saying hi from Portugal.
I think that blue number says I can't take it. I think she doesn't like it when you say genre. So I guess you have to change this for. Let's get into the news because you said something when we were talking about Crimson Desert that made me. Oh yes, the Xbox tax. Mag totally reminded me of the Xbox tax.
What are you talking about?
We were saying about how you don't trust the media and the general games media, like you like to go by friends and their opinions. But what you made me think of the Xbox tax.
And but you said I said that. I'm doing the John Travolta. I'm like, I never said Xbox tax, but yeah.
So this week, especially with the revealing of the Xbox Project Helix, it's been interesting to see the games media, people like Jeff Keighley, Christopher Dring, WCCF Tech, and people reporting generally on the Helix to basically have this sort of approach. I mean, you're going to get out a different approach from me than you would those people, but their approach is kind of like, okay, so apparently Xbox has a new thing. It's a device. It's probably not really going to play your games. You know, probably just, emulate them, but it's probably really super expensive, but here's the information. And I'm exaggerating, of course, because I've been the one. It took me like 3 years to come around to, is there an Xbox tax? I think the tax is purely on how the perspective of the way Xbox is reported on. And I always add to that, Mag, it's because Xbox has made many, many, many mistakes over their time that they've been doing this. But we're going to dive into some of the misnomers and the way that they have revealed Project Helix or discuss it. Like we talked about Jeff Keighley on Friday, but, Christopher Dring didn't want to call it a console, but, Asha Sharma called it a console. The Xbox account called it a console. It's a console in everything. I mean, it's really a console PC hybrid. If you want to just call it a PC, we're going to get into that in a little later. But Meg and I have a whole bunch of stuff to discuss. And I thought we would start first with the emulation versus native thing. And this is so crazy. I was working on a video yesterday afternoon. I had most of it written, and I was going to sit down and get in front of the camera and make this video and sweat my face off. And then Randall Thor calls me on the phone and interrupted me. And then I just kind of talked myself out of it. I see Riskit, who's in the chat, who's also been very involved in this discussion of, we're going to talk about emulation versus native. Let me get this timestamp down here as we get into it. All right. So, WCCF Tech had a tweet. I'm going to grab this thing real quick and read it to you word for word, because as the games media reports on Xbox, let me interrupt myself. Xbox just said Project Helix, this console thing that plays your games and your Xbox games on PC and your Xbox games, right? They didn't say a lot, and it's, there's not a lot to reveal because this thing might not be out for 18 months. it might be out even sooner, which Mag and I'll get into later in the show. There's a lot. There's a whole lot, Mag. I'm like, hold on, I'm trying to get all this out so we can start talking. WCCF Tech said, the Xbox Project Helix reportedly won't be a traditional console. True. But a Windows-based set-top box that will only emulate a console experience. This was based on Sneaker SO's comments on NeoGAF, which is much like the Cantina and what's the famous line that Obi-Wan says when they have to go into the Cantina? You won't find a, what is it? You know the lore. You won't find a hive of, what is it? You remember, Mag?
Scum and villainy.
Yeah, yeah.
And in fact, when we go to LA, eventually, whether it's this year or another year, we go to LA to go to the Summer Games Fest and all that jazz. There is a Star Wars Cantina bar on the like a Hollywood Boulevard called Scum and Villainy, and the reason why it's called Scum and Villainy is because they're not allowed to use the Star Wars name. So, but when you go inside, it is literally Star Wars with all the stuff and all, and like it literally is exactly like it. But they had to call it Scum and Villainy because Disney are scumbags. But anyways, yeah,
because Disney is scum and villainy. Yeah,
they are scum and they are literally the definition of it. Yes, carry on.
So WCCF Tech they're a great gaming outlet, but they have particularly often chose to slant their stuff against the Xbox. And of course, here they're just doing reader service. They're kind of pouring some cold water over Xbox's new console reveal because most of their readers are PlayStation fans. So it kind of serves two masters at once. But I quote tweeted him, I said, wrong. Xbox Helix is based on the AMD Magnus chip. x86 architecture, RDNA 5, which is like a 2 generations leap of RDNA on the GPU. It's a UDNA. It's like a combined thing. I've made videos on this. It's DirectX, native Xbox One and Series console games. So what we're going to talk about today is kind of paint you a better picture of what this thing will be. Your Xbox One and Xbox Series library, which makes up 4,000 available games right now, will be natively played on this new device. But your Xbox original and 360 games will be emulated on a 360 operating system, as they always have. But there's no reason to emulate current-ish games. And there's a prominent tech YouTuber in the community that was very against me saying that this is going to be natively played and was so sure that it was going to be emulated and that it's just a PC. We're getting into crazy waters, Meg, where people are saying it's just a PC is an insult when, wait a minute, I thought PC was like the ultimate premier gaming platform. And you're saying, oh, it's not a console. It's just the best gaming platform ever with, access to millions of games. But I don't know if you dug into this because this is like really super techy
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, I'm trying to like. I know it seems kind of crazy considering this is my life, and this is what I do. But the thing is, I'm trying to avoid all the arguing about the PC and console thing. And I said it last. Oh, no, I didn't. I was about to say last week. It was only 3 days ago when we had the show on Friday. I'm like, I don't care what you call it. It doesn't matter what you call it. Is what does it do? How much does it cost? That's all that matters. Nothing else matters. It's what can it do? How much can it cost? You can call it a piñata if you feel like it. You can call it whatever the hell you want, but it has to be. What does it do? And how much does it cost?
Who's
Those
your
are the
daddy
only things that consumers care about.
Work for?
There's a lot. Yeah. Who's your daddy? And what is it? Yeah. And at the end of the day, people can argue about it online and all that kind of nonsense. Go ahead, have your fun. If that's what you consider fun, go ahead and do all that. But in the back of all those people's minds, it's the same thing. What does it do? How much is it going to cost? That's all that they really care about. All this other stuff is just, poofing out the chest and a whole lot of posturing from different sides of the fence and all this nonsense. I just walk away from it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to get into the edit stuff. I'm just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
I put out,
how much?
Well, that's another thing.
It.
How much has actually changed quite a bit
what
today.
Does it do?
How much is this thing has changed as well today, which we're going to talk about. But I put out my arguments for like half a day, and my friend was like, what are we doing? Why are we arguing with these people? Because another one of my friends, I was in a party chat with a guy who has a master's in IT and was explaining how emulation works and different layers and compatibility and containers and virtual machines and hypervisors, blah, and like some of it's like, oh my gosh, over my head. And I'm like, wait, just tell me, like, what is it? He goes, it's going to be native, but technically everything's packed into its little things and If you wanted to call it emulation, you can, but it's really basically it's not. It's native. And I'm like, I'm not arguing this anymore. So I stopped responding to people who come at me like this. Like, right, Meg, when someone's like, well, and I'm like, I'm not answering that person. I mute them or I ignore them, because one person who used to be fairly friendly is just like really arguing with people and me about it a lot. And I'm like, I'm not going to have this argument, especially since, scary as it is to say, I've talked to a couple of people, and one of my friends talked to someone who would directly give you the answer, and maybe they did. And so it's like, I can't use this as ammo. I'm not arguing it anymore. I'll just sit back, and eventually, Jason Ron will do the GDC thing, and maybe he'll say something about how the games are running on this. But really, Meg nailed it. Meg, you said, will I be able to play my games? Will I be able to just launch them and play them the way they're supposed to? And I think the answer is absolutely. That's all. That's it.
That's all that matters. And like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're a consumer. How much does it cost? What does it do? That's all. When you go to the store to buy something, what are you doing? What's the first thing you do? Are you arguing with the guy in the row who says, my toaster toasts the toast different than yours, so it's better? You walk in there to buy a toaster. You go, yeah, give me that. You're like, how much does it cost and what does it do? That's it. I mean, I know it's a toaster. We all should be aware of what a toaster does. But you know what I'm saying? It's like those are the things that should concern everybody else. Everything else is just noise. So anyway, there's that. And then the other thing is I was thinking about, I mean, this is just me, but like just a question really, is how much backwards compatibility are you really going to like there's all this every generation there's always a focus about backwards compatibility. And I'm like, how many people are really going back to play those 25-year-old games? Of course, there's going to be people in the chat say, I do. Great. But I mean, all this focus on it for what? I have almost 1,000 Xbox games.
Yeah, same.
Knights of whoever. Where are you there? I see you. Knights of Cypher.
He's just kidding.
I know.
Yeah, he's just kidding.
And no. He was saying something, or he goes, at least, what the hell did he say? I got to say it.
Look.
I got to say it.
You do it.
Where is it?
Where? At least Mag.
It disappeared.
Go above.
At least Mag isn't hiding as neutral anymore. He's finally showing his true colors. I don't know what the hell that means.
Hey, thank you.
So in your opinion, Knight of Cypher, where am I leaning?
No, I mean
on the side of reason.
That's a compliment.
I know, maybe. But I mean, I think he's maybe interpreting I lean on one side over the other or whatever. But I just issue common sense. But anyways, what the hell do I know?
Let's get down to the brass tacks.
Dude, I have all kinds of 360 games. I don't have a ton of like digital 360 games because remember in those days a lot of it was physical, right? And I didn't collect those physical. I used to trade them in at EB Games, which became GameStop up here, and I would trade in those games. I never carried a lot of physical over to the Xbox One, and then I just bought Xbox One games. And then about 2 years into the Xbox One generation, I ended up just buying digital. I never went back, right? So the thing is at that point, but I still have like hundreds and hundreds, like damn near 1,000 games still. I don't go back and play them. I mean, the library's there. You could just go to your games and library, whatever the hell it's called, and you scroll down, you could see all the games you own. I don't go back and play them ever, because there's so much stuff either currently out, came out last year, or coming up, and your backlog is already full. I'm not going back and saying, I'm going to go back and play Army of Two from 23 years ago. Like, I'm not going to do it.
That might be a good time. I do, Mag. I do go back.
To remaster that.
They do. I do go back and play my games, but probably maybe 10%. But I do like having my library intact. Let's talk about how much this thing costs because it just keeps rising. It keeps getting more expensive, and there's some fake
and then
leaks.
It goes down.
And then and then maybe it goes down, and I'm kind of leaning towards it goes down because Digital Foundry looked into a debunked leak, which we're going to break down, and they were like, I'll just say this one spec. They're like, sounds like it has 32 gigs of RAM, which is like really amazing. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've been putting in my videos 48 gigs. Moore's Law shows 48 gigs of RAM, and to put that in perspective. 48 gigs of RAM for a single consumer, you're cutting out wholesale and stuff. 48 gigs of RAM is like, I don't know, $500 or something maybe. I didn't look it up. I'm just thinking, I know that my 64 gigs of RAM was like up to 1,000 plus long after I bought it, right? So I was thinking, man, this thing's going to be expensive. 48 gigabytes of GDDR7 RAM is going to be pricey in today's market and conditions. And then Digital Foundry says, ooh, 32, but the report might be 24. Maybe the 32 is for the dev kit. And so then I was talking to someone else that said the dev kit always has double the RAM for the developers when they're building their games to make the Xbox version. Maybe the actual truth is this thing only has 24 gigs of RAM. Now, if I'm reporting 48 gigs of RAM and now it's no longer $500 in just RAM, now it's $200 something, and then cut off 30% plus for wholesale, because they're acquiring tons of stuff so they can build 1 million plus of these devices at once, right? So, Mag, what was your best guess on the price of the Magnum? I want to say the Magnum of the Helix, the Magnus Helix. Let's talk about that because I've kind of have a shifting opinion. Sorry, that was a long.
Well,
speech.
They're going to continue to shift, over the next year or whenever it decides to launch. We heard internally that originally they had spec'd it out at 1,200 to 1,500. I was leaning more towards the 1,200, but from everything that now there's more stuff coming out that people are talking about that's not really solid proof or anything, but it could be between 1,000 and 1,200.
Okay.
Somewhere in that range as
in
well.
US.
That would be a little bit more. Yeah, US. Sorry, I have to specify US. I'm not in the United States either, but I mean, it just seems to be like the center metric that we all use when talking about like $70 games. I don't pay $70 games. I pay $100 games, but we'll just all use US dollars. It's simpler. Anyways, yeah, I would think somewhere around between $1,000 and $1,200. I can't see anything lower than that. I saw somebody do a breakdown. Like I told you guys before, I'm not a tech guy by any means. Yeah. But either way, he broke down all the different components and how much they cost currently. And he says even discounted, he still couldn't spec this thing any lower than $1,100, right? So he said, and that's the absolute lowest that he could get it at. And that's going to happen all year. All these videos are going to come out. They're like, we bought the same components on the PC or what they said, and this is how much it cost and blah, 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 blah. And so it's going to keep going on and on and on until they actually say something, right? And you're not going to hear that price until probably a few months before when the pre-orders go live. So unfortunately, whenever that happens, you won't hear the price till 90 days before it launches. So that's generally what they do. Like even when they show new consoles, they'll show the Series X, they'll show the PS5. Whenever they show those reveals, no prices. The only time they showed the prices is when they did the launch trailers 90 days before pre-orders went live, and then they drop the price right then and there. So unfortunately, you're going to have to wait a long, long time. But I would still say between 1,000 and 1,200 is pretty reasonable. Not reasonable in price, reasonable in an educated guess as to what it will cost.
Yeah. This reminds me of a story in 2022. I told a story about I was at dinner with a bunch of Xbox fans, and then there was somebody with us that, how do I say this? Somebody was with us that knows the answer to, Xbox and hardware stuff. Okay. And so we asked this question, like, why don't you guys just make 1,000? This is in 2022, right? When the consoles were 500 and 300, right? We said, why don't you guys just build $1,000 super powerful killer Xbox? And he said, well, and there was like 15 of us at the table, and he goes, how many of you would buy that $1,000 console? And half of us shot our hands up and the other half didn't. And he goes, I would consider all of you here who are here at FanFest to be the diehard hardcore core of the gaming audience and an Xbox fan. And only half of you wanted to buy a super powerful Xbox for $1,000. Now, fast forward to modern time, and I'm going to tell a pretend story, and you can pretend if you believe it or not, but I'm just going to tell it as a pretend fairy tale. A friend of mine is talking to someone very prominent in the gaming hardware space, working for a certain gaming platform. And he says to this person, what about that $1,000 concept? Like, are people going to buy $1,000, console? And the person said, no, it's too much. It doesn't meet the console market, and that's not where we want to be. And so when I think about Digital Foundry saying, and then you can just pretend that never happened or it did, and you could just have your fairy tale however you want. Because I don't expect, unless I was there, I don't expect to understand how a conversation really happened or how those words were said. But that kind of made me feel like, hey, what if they were What if they were thinking 1,000's way too much? And now I'm hearing people, this is going to be a tangent for just a second, but bear with me. Now there are people who are saying, if you think the Steam machine is going to be 1,000, you're crazy. It's going to be priced at the same as a PS5 because it's on par with a PS5. Sure, it plays millions of games, but that doesn't matter. It's got the silicon and the hardware in it that puts it at the rate of a PS5. And so they're saying they should be 800 to lower. This thing should be at around $800 or lower in the US. And so now I'm starting to think the Xbox Magnus or Helix specs that I've looked at from Moore's Law stuff, it looks way more powerful than the Steam machine. So it looks like $1,000 rig. And I also don't think, I'm still on the tangent, I also don't think that Microsoft wants to subsidize it. Shout out to over 850 people who are here. Thank you for being here. Meg and I have a whole bunch to talk about, a bunch of stuff that's leaked. We're going to dig into some stuff that's happening behind the scenes as well. So hit the like button if you're here and you're enjoying the show. We appreciate you. I'm starting to feel like if I thought it was 1,500, maybe it's way closer to that 1,000. Is it going to be 1,200? I look at the specs, I'm like, probably. But then one of my friends who, works in IT is like, the only silicon that tells you the price should go up is the RAM. And if Digital Foundry's right, and this thing would actually consumer grade at 24 gigs of GDDR7, this is tech. And Meg, you should absorb some of this as we go along. I'm RAM,
listening. I'm listening intently.
Well, so you can speak on this because a few years ago I knew nothing about this, and then I was sitting at a party chat with Dealer, and he would explain to his best of his ability. So you see my Scorpio thing over here, right? I know it's kind of blurry. You see the black array of squares around there, around the chip. Can you see them?
Yep. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, of course.
That's the memory array, and those little chips are GDDR6, I think it is. Those are GDDR6 chips, and then the next, the Helix is supposed to be a GDDR7, which is the next upgrade, which is a pretty big boost in performance for RAM. And then there's going to be 1.5 times more RAM. So that's a $500 box. So now I'm thinking, maybe this thing's like $999. Maybe it's $999. And then you and I were saying on Friday about the difference between the ROG Ally and a console. And I'm like,
then you brought up the lithium battery thing.
You take out the lithium battery in the screen, and then you build the form factor, and then you're like, maybe you're kind of the same price. So I'm going to sit here right now and think I will not be shocked if they announce this thing to be $999 and it plays all your console and PC games.
Yeah. I think that'll be there. No, that's fine. It's that's not. I hate to use a word like sweet spot because $1,000 for a console is not a sweet spot. That's little Johnny's not getting one in a stocking for $1,000. But they are not advertised. They're not going to advertise it the same way. And the thing is, if you actually pay attention to everything that they're talking about and the way that they're moving, and of course the people we talk about, is that they're not. What they're trying to do is breathe in fresh air into the, into the actual ecosystem, into the company, get people excited again, that kind of stuff, get consumers to engage more and all that stuff. None of they say things like starts with the console. They also said that for the last two consoles, by the way. If you go back and you watch the little interviews, there was some lady who said it during Scorpio, and she said the exact same words. She goes, Microsoft is behind a console gaming, and it starts with the console, which she wasn't lying. But I'm saying it just seems to be all the key buzzwords to get people in a tizzy. But that's fine, whatever. It's not going to be about that. And I think they're well aware. I know that they're well aware that this thing is not going to be a 100 million unit seller, 80 million unit seller, considering how hardware is doing now. We've already talked about how they had meetings, how they expect about 10 million or less sales of the actual hardware. Most of it is to appease the hardcore who are already there. Most other people are either going to engage in the Xbox ecosystem if they choose to in a different fashion. There are other business thoughts we have of what may or may not happen in the future in terms of like Game Pass and whatever. We talked about that privately, but we could talk about some of that today. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when you have something priced like that, they never had any intention of like, we're going after Nintendo. And I'm like, no, they're not. And we're going after Sony. No, they're not. They're doing their own thing. and they're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to continue to make a lot of money, and they want to have a healthy, happy, and positive ecosystem. It has nothing to do with trying to outrace the others. They're going their own way, doing their own thing. They're going to offer where they offer, whether it be hardware or accessibility, depending on how much money you care to spend. And that is the philosophy moving forward. She does have, from what I talked to some other executives who said they've been around her over the last week or so, they say she has a flexibility about herself.
Okay.
Where she's like willing to move in many directions in order to keep this thing chugging forward and arrows pointing up, right? Which is common business sense, obviously, right? And so that's a good thing. But they are also well aware that that price is not going to be consumer friendly for the average consumer. They understand that. So they're also going to focus, as she said out of her own mouth, we're also going to bring the experiences to you. Right. And she did say that, what, you know what I mean? So there are options. That's all it is. It's options. It's not bad. It's just options. You have an option. You want to buy this thing. It's going to be pricey. It's going to be whatever, but it's going to be very powerful and very cool. Probably going to do a whole bunch of cool stuff. Great. But if you can't afford that, well, we've got options B, C, D, E, and F or whatever that you can do that too. So, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, compelling software, that is what's going to sell all this. And I know as a fact that why do you think she's going on the booty tour with Matt Booty there and they're checking out all the studios? It's not to see that everybody's happy. She wants to see what's going on. And we talked about that, how she's going in there and saying, hi, we saw that your game rated well or whatever. Why is nobody playing it? She's going to be asking the tough questions. Yeah. And that's what I've gathered from the people who are working with her now and the people who have dealt with her in the last couple of weeks. They're all saying she's very, very positive, very focused, but she's also no nonsense. So she's going to ask the tough questions that Phil and never asked. It's like, hi, you made this game. Why is nobody playing it? Give me the answer. And that's what's going to happen. She's going to dissect, dude. Like, you hear the stories about people go to rehab and they're like, oh man, rehab is like crazy. They like peel a layer back and they try to find out the motivations as to why you're doing what you're doing. And then they peel another layer back and then another layer back. And then when finally your core is exposed, then they attack that and say, okay, let's solve the problem from the core. And from what I've understood from some people who've been talking to her and dealing with her over the last couple of weeks, they think that's exactly what she's doing. So that's pretty wild. But once again, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. But once again, that price,
that's what we do. That's what we do.
That price is just going to be an access point for a certain percentage of people, not for everybody. And they're well aware of it. They're not producing 25 million out the gate.
Yeah, I want to address. You said that Magnum in the chat said 10 million. I call cap. You're like, failed on 12 million sold units. I'm filling in the rest of the sentence there, but the difference is Nintendo needed the console as the very lifeblood of their generation, so they had to pivot quickly. Xbox has many different avenues of how they make their business, and we're going to get into that as well because I'm starting to my friend sort of feels like this thing is like $700, $800. And, when you look at 2027, tech evolves as it goes along and the price usually kind of hobbles up along with it. Is it possible this thing is really powerful in 2027 and it's the same price as a PS5 Pro? I don't know.
I highly doubt that. Now, the other thing is,
I'm closer to 1,000. Yeah.
I'm still going to stick with 1,000 and above. The other thing is, from some of our friends we spoke to, said something very interesting about subsidizing. And they say the only reason why some companies, including Microsoft, used to subsidize the consoles is because they expected to sell 40, 50, 60 million units out the gate or whatever. And over time, as they would shrink the units and they would sell more, they would get cheaper. They make the money back. Plus, of course, they would also make the money on the sales of the software. They would take a small percentage of that, and that would go towards the subsidizations, as it were, of the console, of the hardware. When they said that they're talking about 10 million or less units, at least for the interim of selling this console at an expensive price, you can't subsidize that because you're not going to make it back by selling 60 million of these things. They couldn't even sell 30 million of this generation at a reasonable price of 500. So when you start thinking about that, you double that price. I mean, come on. That's not fanboy baloney. That's just common sense.
Yeah, you and I've been saying that for a while, that even way back in the day when we were hearing, or at least you had heard, that Jason Ronald's team was going to make this Surface style thing, which kind of still sort of sounds like that's an evolution of what you heard. But even back then, even back then, you were like, this thing could be very expensive and priced to profit. And so I don't know if Asha has said anything publicly about that, but that this thing is made to make money right off the bat. You know, when you were explaining PlayStation, they sold so many consoles that they made a little bit of money that adds up over time because they were making a profit very early on with the PS5. And then all of that adds up, and then they have more people in their ecosystem to buy games they don't make. So that it's just this cycle of success that the PS5 has that Xbox has never even seen. They pull money
from different departments.
Yeah,
they pull money from different areas, small percentages, even if it's 0.3%, it gets pulled from this area, this area. It's very similar, like I told you before, like the Hollywood model, for example. When you have, well, before the pandemic, before Endgame, you would have like an Avengers movie would actually fuel and fund a lot of the Fox projects that Disney would greenlight because, of course, Disney owned Fox as well, right? So you look at something like that, or they move it off to Pixar. Pixar would do $1 billion movie, not anymore, but they used to when they were actually good. And so like they take $1 billion movie, they would bank on that, say, okay, we take 0.7% of the Pixar movie, use that to fund 2 smaller projects, and on and on and on. And so it's all creative counting. And so that's what they do. But in order to get to that point, they know that they have to sell X amount of pieces. It's in the gaming industry specifically. They're going to have to sell a specific amount of hardware, and they have that figure, has to be out the door in order to subsidize, because they know that they'll get their money back later on, right? So there's that. However, if you have no intention of selling all of that, like when it's a higher price point or it's more of a boutique item, words used by them, well, I mean, from the previous people, but I don't expect that business strategy to change, is that it's still at that point, what would happen is they said, well, we got to price it to not lose, because you can't price it to subsidize if you don't think you're going to sell 40 million or 50 million. Right. And we already talked about this generation and, you know, the constant descending amount of hardware. Yes, people moved on to PCs and stuff like that. So people were still accessing Xbox, which they love, but they were staying away from the hardware. But anyways, the point is that is what happens. Like, for example, Apple is another thing. Apple makes a $3,000 headset. They were literally making them by the 50,000 units at a time.
They're making by order.
Sold them at $3,000. Yeah, they were selling them. They were selling them at $3,000 with absolutely no intention of subsidizing the product, because they know it was something that not everyone could afford. So this is the exact same business model. There is no difference. If you go to anything that is actually sold boutique, and by boutique I mean anything over $1,000 in the hardware space. And don't use cell phones, okay? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life, because cell phones are subsidized by the actual cable companies that you utilize. I saw someone say it like 10 minutes ago, not recently, but like, cell phones are $1,000, and I'm like, no one's doing that. You're just paying the $50, $100 a month, and it's subsidized through your provider.
Be glad that consoles don't follow that model. I want to also interject something that's very difficult for diehard console fanboys to understand, that Project Helix is a direct competitor to Steam, Valve, and the Steam machine. So if you're,
I believe that.
If you're thinking there's no way they're going to sell 10 million units, they're probably going to sell 5 million units. What we don't know yet is what Xbox is banking on, is that they are selling directly to gamers who play on whatever. Someone could look at this and go, I want to play on PC. I want to play on my monitor or my TV. Yeah.
You're not going to beat Steam on PC. Steam on PC is its own beast. That's a juggernaut. That can't be touched. Whatever.
Steam is going to be on PC. What I'm saying, Mag, is if you're looking at a semi-affordable Steam machine, and then you're looking at a slightly more powerful for $200 or $300 more Xbox thing that does all of that, plus few extra games that are never been on PC because they're stuck on the console.
It'll be the better experience on the Xbox.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say, someone who's let me say this last thing. Someone who's a PC gamer might be looking at that going, I love Steam, and this thing will have Steam on it. Like, this could be my next gaming PC. And console fanboys look at this business model and go, why would anyone want this? It's because a lot of people on console are used to being restricted to one piece of plastic, but that's not what the reality is for people all over the world that play games. And maybe a PC-like device console actually does better overseas than Xbox does. And I think that they have a chance to sell a decent number of these, like you and I said at one time, we're like max 15 million. I mean, I think it's still around 10, but if they're making just somebody do the math, if they're making $8 on every unit and they sell 10 million of them, they're going to be super happy. You don't have to do the math.
Now, I have a question then for you.
Yeah,
not a comment. I have a question. Yeah. So you're saying they're going to compete with Steam. Are you talking about if they go head to head with the Steam machine as something that would dominate a Steam living room experience as opposed to a desktop PC?
Thank you. Yes,
okay.
Meg.
So
that's
you know what?
I'm saying.
That actually makes absolute sense.
I mean, they're selling Steam's games for them. I was trying to make that clear, but thank you for doing that. Yeah.
No, okay, so people who want that Steam experience and say, I want to be able to sit in my living room or whatever, in my living room and my TV room, on my couch, play video games, simple plug and play, and have access to the Steam games and all that kind of nonsense, whatever, right? And then, of course, whatever. And then you've got the Xbox doing the same thing. So they're not in competition with Sony and Nintendo in that respect. As, of course, now you got Microsoft also making money off of Sony and Nintendo by publishing on top of that, right? We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
So they're in harmony in a different way, but I could see what you're saying is that they would try. They're fighting a new battle in order to get that living room,
absolutely
PC, like a living room PC experience,
or even just the living room,
Xbox.
Mag. Yeah,
or just that
get the
living room.
Get the living room. Get people in the living room on the Xbox ecosystem, and maybe a few people who have their awesome desk in the corner. And I don't know. I just think there's a different,
I could see
mindset.
that because I could see the Steam machine and the Xbox. I don't even know what to call it. I don't like calling it project. There were so many projects before. Project Natal, Project this, Project that, Project Your Mother, Project Scorpio, Project. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, these guys have a hard on for projects. But anyways, I think that they would be in direct competition with them because I could see them sort of around the same lines in terms of sales and attention from people and around the price range. Now, this leads into the next thing. I don't know if this wanted to be the next thing you want to talk about.
Hold that thought. Make sure you actually hold it so I don't ruin
I'm
your
holding
thing.
it, dude. I'm holding my breath.
Okay. I want you to remember when Mag and I say competition, we're not saying people always do this. Fanboys always do this. I'm not saying Xbox is going to obliterate and destroy Steam. I'm saying they will be in competition. Like people will say, should I buy this or should I buy that one? They will be in that competition and they're going to try and win over. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Do you still have the thought?
Yeah. No, I have the thought, and I was hoping that it would kind of lead into the next thing is if that is indeed the case, and if the Steam machine does indeed drop in 2026, and if Xbox wants to be in that living room space that Steam is trying to attract with the Steam machine, not the PC, folks, the Steam machine, would that affect the possibility of their launch date not going to 2027 in the fall? Because that would actually not help them at all with Steam getting a year jump on it. So my question is, do you think they do something sooner and just say, F it, let's get 1 million out the gate this year? Like guys, this is just pure conjecture, okay? Like somebody's like, Mag's completely crazy. And I'm like, what if they, because listen, they're not producing 20 million of these things.
We didn't talk on the phone today, did we?
No, we did not. We talked last night till 3 a.m, for God's sake, like a bunch of schoolgirls.
I know. I was
3 o'clock in the morning, folks.
I have a little hair right here I didn't cut, so I was twirling it in my finger.
He was twirling his hair.
My wife's like, you need to cut that.
2:56 a.m. and I'm still talking. My wife's looking at me, and she goes like this. She didn't say anything. She goes,
and I can tell this is how Mag was at 3 a.m. And another thing, and then another thing.
I mean, I was at the neighbors partying all night. It was pretty funny. But by the time I got to Colt, I was already on drink number 11. So yeah,
okay. We're going to do the Hopium hour real quick. Before we do
let me go get some water. Go do your thing.
Okay, yeah, go get some water. I'm going to read some questions and super chats. We're going to do some Hopium water. We'll drink some Hopium water about when this thing's going to release, because I am really starting to change the things I reported. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. Paris says, Colt, we don't want to hear that. Project Helix is a console, not a PC. Hey, at least someone finally said the opposite. All right, we got a whole bunch of questions here. Game Seeker, thank you so much for the Canadian 5. Mag's not here because I know I can already hear his laugh. But he says, Mag, will Mark Carney be speaking at GDC this week? And we get There he is.
Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, yes, he is. As soon as hold on, let me get the camera back on. Listen, as soon as Kami Carney starts ordering those Chinese EVs that are obviously going to be filled with spy propaganda for the Canadians, and basically be spying on us and recording and sending it right back to the Chinese government. Right after that, he's heading to GDC. So yes, you're absolutely right, Game Seeker. I can't wait to see it. Yeah,
love it. Thank you, Seeker.
every
and
week
there's
he's got to drop a Carney joke. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and there's always that one guy who's like, "Don't talk about politics." Like, hey, we're just kidding around. Broke Boy, thanks so much for the 5. Says, Mag, your stunt double is here. Did you show Colt that pic I sent you?
No, I never sent him the picture.
Have fun. What is it?
A picture of him in front of his camera, like in front of his PC, and he's got his headphones on, and he's got his head tilted up, and he's bald, and he basically like looks like me. I mean, obviously, I'm far more handsome, but I mean, he looks like me. So yeah.
Risk it for the biscuit. Thanks for the chat for 53 months. Says, talking about emulation, he says it's really simple. Emulation requires a virtual software console and heavy translation layer. Virtualization does not require that. It's direct to hardware. Thank you, Risket. I know he's been diving into what does this all mean and setting some people straight. Somebody that works, somebody that would know, said it's more like a binary translation. So I'm pretty sure that one guy will say, see, it's emulation. But I mean, you're basically playing the game natively. It's under an emulation layer via the UI is about all it is. You know, when you load up Middle Earth Shadow of War on Middle Earth Shadow of War on your Xbox Series X, there is a small emulation layer in the UI from the Xbox to the Series console that just says, hey, I can play this here. It's cool. This is considered a thing. And then it plays it on the hardware. I don't know how that all works. Like maybe, somebody could explain it better, but anyway, L's will be handed out when that all comes out. Gramston Barbecue Game Cat, thank you for the Australian 5. Said, will Helix be more susceptible to viruses, malware, cheat bots? Genuine question, not trolling. It is a really good question. Digital Foundry was talking about it as well. And they said, maybe there's a game mode and a Windows mode and you reboot and restart the console and you get into Windows mode. So it's protected. And I thought Digital Foundry, those guys are so awesome. They're so smart, but I'm like, how is Windows any more susceptible to hacking than a freaking toy console? And I know that there's certain security measures that are in place, but to think that someone could hack into Windows, which has all of these different security layers and updates constantly going on, and think, well, I can't hack into the console because it's bulletproof is kind of asinine to me. So I think maybe Xbox has accepted the point that sure, people will hack into anything. They'll hack into the government if they really need to. So maybe they're worried about people hacking this thing so they can play free games. Maybe they don't care. I guess in this era, maybe it's different. BT Maverick, thanks for the 5, says, how interesting both Sneaker SO, which we'll talk about sneakers leaks, and Jeff Keighley made the same UWP mistake. BT Maverick, you've been on fire lately. He says, interesting how Jeff is all about his shoes. Jeff has great looking shoes. They are nice. Seeker SO reported, I don't have his whole leak in front of me, but I thought we'd kind of graze by it. He said, it's not going to be native console. It's going to emulate all your games and the only games you're going to be playing is UWP. And no one called out his bull crap. Apparently Sneaker SO was really super great and he's called some good stuff. But Tom Warren's like, isn't this the guy that said the console was up in the air and that there's going to be mass layoffs in January, February, which never happened. Now we're in March. So also he was leaning on this UWP thing, Mag, Universal Windows Platform, which Xbox completely deactivated in 2019. And now he's saying that Project Helix is going to work on a defunct, near 10-year-old system of Universal Windows Platform. Should call out, the BS meter should be flying off the charts. Sorry, that's a lot. I gotta keep going because there's a lot of them. Serif Slot, thanks for 3 months, says it's not a rumor. The Helix will bring Xbox back. Hasta la vista, PlayStation. He said to do it in Mag is gonna have to say hasta la vista, PlayStation, because I don't do the say it, Mag. Do it.
I would never say anything like that. I'm a pony, remember?
Oh, that's great. Night Cypher says
Noof Nukem does it.
Noof Nukem is the king when it comes to that. Yeah, Night Cypher, thanks for the 2 and another 2. He goes, Xbox bad. And he goes, no, it was a compliment to Mag. He appreciates your honesty.
Oh, thank you. I try to be as honest as humanly possible, except to my wife. On YouTube, though, I just tell like it is, man.
My wife's like, "What are you eating?"
And sometimes, never wrong.
Yeah,
but
my wife's like, "What are you eating?" And I have like 3 Chips Ahoy shoved in my mouth. Lettuce. Carlos Fontes, thank you so much for the 5. Says, I wanted to play Bloodstone 007 and Jurassic Park Operation Genesis on Project Helix. Bloodstone 007. I like the one.
What the hell was all of that?
I liked Quantum of Solace on the 007 game on the 360. It was a total rip-off of Splinter Cell Conviction. You remember it, Mag?
That was a great game. I liked the 007 game. I did play that on the 360. I loved that one.
It's good.
They had a couple of good Bond games on the 360.
I think Bloodstone was another good one,
disappeared.
But I didn't.
And now it's coming back.
That was the era when. What's that?
I said now it's coming back. Like, how about that? Right after all these years. I mean, we got 007 in May, right?
No one's talking about that though right now. I guess there's just too many big games.
It looks amazing.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. Nathaniel Squire, thank you so much for the £2. Says the name of Project Helix needs to be Xbox 720. Yeah, they should do it.
I just got Xbox Fusion. Just call it that. I like it.
How about Xbox?
I like
Fuchsia?
the name. You don't even have to call it the Xbox. Just call it Fusion.
How about Xbox Charcuterie Board? That way the old people won't be able to say it.
Yeah.
If you ever want to laugh, if you're old like Mag and I, if you're in your 40s or 50s.
Speak for yourself, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
sorry, go on.
Ask your parents to say charcuterie board and the laughs will ensue. They can't do it. It's great. Night Cyber, thanks for the 2, says Microsoft secured the RAM prior to Rampocalypse.
What?
I don't remember. I don't know if that report was true.
The only thing they secured were the chips, the 5 million. Remember the 5 million chips that they placed an order for? That had nothing to do with Helix. That was for the cloud. That was for integration of the cloud. And then what they did is that they refurbished the Xbox. Remember I was telling you about that? They took from the countries that stopped selling Xbox or weren't selling. They were taking those back, refurbishing them for North American specs. In terms of like power source and you know what I mean, being able to plug them in the wall and all that stuff. Because I mean, like some of these other countries, their wall plugins are not compatible with ours, right? Yeah. They refurbished those, sent them back to the United States and to Canada in anticipation of GTA 6. It actually had nothing to do with and Modern Warfare 4 because Modern Warfare 4 and GTA 6 are current gen only. So they had taken those machines to save money, refurbished them, sent them back here. Canada and the United States to sell them here in anticipation of those games in the fall. The other chips that they ordered, those were utilized for the cloud.
Okay.
So I hope that just gave some clarification.
That does. The
Xbox Infinite, good name, machine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good name.
Sorry, that's a good name.
That is a good name. Yeah. Also remember Microsoft has top priority when it comes to acquiring components because of their enterprise. So they're first in line. So they don't have that problem. Cruel or QL. Thank you for the 5. Says remember, just because these are built for Xbox doesn't mean Microsoft can't use it as a turnkey for other sales opportunities. Meg, what does that mean? Using it as a turnkey?
Okay, can I take a guess?
Yeah.
I mean, integration of maybe the integration of their other programs, like for example, Office. A lot of people in the chat were asking early on. They're going, "Mag, Colt, what do you guys think? Copilot?" And I'm like, "Dude,
nobody wants that."
No, they don't want it. But do you think it's going to be in there? Come on, dude. She came from Core AI for Christ's sake. If that's if some version of it, it's going to be in there. There's going to be some AI integration. Even Sony was going to is going to do it in their next thing. Remember they were talking about that?
Yeah.
When people went nuts about the Xbox thing, they're like, "Oh, they're gonna put the AI in there," and I'm like, "Yeah," but if you guys remember, a couple months ago, Sony said the same thing. Remember that when they were talking about it and saying,
to help you." I was rude about that, by the way.
Areas that you're stuck in and all that stuff, and then Xbox started talking about the same thing, but months later. So I'm like, I can absolutely see some kind of Copilot integration in the new system. Absolutely. I mean, but I don't know. But maybe is that what he was referring to?
Yeah,
or was he referring to like Office 365? Maybe some of those things in there. And like
he says, turnkey is something that already is set up, ready to start, and can be turned into a Surface product or something like that. Oh, he's talking about like the chip. Absolutely,
I see.
Yeah, the chip.
Yeah, of course they would do that.
Yeah, Sarah Bond and Lisa Su said that they're building a family of devices. I think it was the words they used. So the Xbox Magnus chip will have different yields, or they'll be bend depending on how many failure rates. So you got the really powerful one. This one's a little less powerful. And then they'll be able to put them in different devices. And then they'll also be able to have other people use them to make their own little Steam machine boxes. When I say people, I see companies. So I've kind of talked about that. It's a really vague thing, but thank you. That's a really good point.
It's a good question. Good,
Mag
good
makes
thing to think about.
Yeah, and Mag, you make another really great point that they could use it to help sell their software. And I just want to make a quick apology when I kind of mocked the Copilot or AI assistant stuff. I should never do that, because if somebody uses that in their house in Milwaukee, what is that? Why do I care? And the other reason is if somebody has limited mobility or cognitive or accessibility challenges, using something like that is a game changer. And I should never mock something. If I don't want to use it, I'll just turn it off or not use it.
Or not use it. I got to say, sorry, shout out to Stuck2K1 in the chat. He's got by far the best feature for the new Helix. He says, bring back the 360 Ring of Death, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That's the new feature that's coming in. I mean, you might as well get dewy-eyed about the past, get a little nostalgia there. But you know what the thing is, though? Here's the twist. It gives you the red ring of death. It stops working for 3 minutes just to give you that moment of panic, but then it comes back on and says, just kidding, bro, and then you just keep playing. So it's just like, oh, you sneaky bitch.
People start grabbing towels and wrapping their console. I love it. Thank you for that.
It shows up on the screen. Gandalf laughing. I don't know, something like that.
I mean, the one of my consoles flashed, but it was because the cable was coming loose. All four of them were flashing. I was like, there's different indicators on the 360, and
you talking about the 360?
Yeah, I had that huge component plug that went in the back. I had one that didn't have the HDMI. Well, no, I was using the big component plug because component was perfect for Rock Band, no latency. It was amazing. Anyway,
right.
It was loose, and all of a sudden I moved something, and it started flashing all four red. Red Ring of Death is only 3, and I went, you know. And then
I lost three 360s to the red ring, man. But whatever, man. Like 2 days later, I had it back again. It was no problem. 3 days later, they would just courier one back to my house.
Like shows up at your house, goes, return exchange. William Chris, who's been a member for 14 months.
Why are you sweating? It's the winter. Yeah, sorry,
dude. It was
like it's minus 20 outside. Why are you still sweating?
It was. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. William Chris says, Mag versus Greenberg in MMA. If Aaron Greenberg wins, he gets his job. If Mag wins, he gets Asha and gets to hire a new marketing director. So you get to work with Asha.
What are you talking about? Win? I could just do 3 laps of the ring. He'll pass out trying to chase me.
What if he just
I didn't even have to hit him.
Just one hit over the top of the skull, and you're out. You done it, Gizada.
Catch me.
Yeah. Yodana Gizada, thank you for the 5, says, DDR memory, is that the embarrassing cringe on remembering those dance pads on the arcade Dance Dance Revolution with your underarms smelling like Burger King onions, he says, or like Steve Ballmer.
Yeah. Jesus. Burger King onions. That would be, never mind.
QL, thank you for the 5, says, they can sell this to businesses so the scale issue isn't as big of a deal as you'd think. Meaning, I think they can sell the chips. But yeah, I mean, maybe the chip is pretty powerful and it's got neural rendering in it. They might be able to like sell this thing to enterprise, put it up on the cloud, build the console, sell them to OEM like Razer and Lenovo. They never give numbers, but behind the scenes, it's pretty possible that Xbox's Magnus chip could be really, really good for them. I got to get through these here. He also says it could be used to make a Surface Studio 2. Awesome. Glinzer, thank you for the 2, says more power than sales equals Helix will be the Neo Geo 2.0. The Neo Geo was like $12,000 or something back in 90.
Dude, it was expensive, dude. And you know what's crazy? They had, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember if it was the Neo Geo. It wasn't a 3DO. The Neo Geo had a handheld as well. And it was like this big. It was like the size of a cinder block, but it was like a handheld device. And that was like, I don't know, in those days, even then it was still like $600 or $700 or something like that. I could look up the name of it.
Yeah, it was the arcade experience at home with no compromises. And that's like, if you crack open an arcade cabinet, it's got a giant console circuit board in it connected to a 700-pound TV. It was great. Good days. X Jared, thank you so much for the 5. Says, just want to say about Xbox marketing going from X to Series X was so dumb. It definitely confused the casuals. Yeah, we always talk about the name is going to be ridiculous. I think we might hear about that name come November, and we're going to get just a moment. I'm almost done here with these. Risk It, thank you so much for the $8 Australian. Says, it's not a direct competitor to Steam. He says, I would say there's elements, but it's not in the same power or price class. It's also still in competition with PlayStation. I would agree with that, Risk It. Yeah, that's a good addition to what I said. What do you think, Mag? You think it's still competing with the PlayStation? Not very.
No.
Yeah, not
very. No. They're different. It's different now. But you know the thing is, as that weird character from Avengers that comes down, you know, when he's like for Thanos, and he goes, "Humans rejoice." Xbox gamers rejoice. The reason why, and think about this, and this is something that's business related, not personal related. Every game that sells on every Xbox game that sells on the PlayStation, 70% of that money goes directly back into funding Xbox to keep them going, give them bigger budgets, get more games greenlit, and helps you in the long run. So that's why that strategy will not change. Same with Nintendo. And because they're a publisher now, 70% of every Gears of War, every Modern Warfare 4, whatever else, a Fable, Forza Horizon 6, which is going to be a monster game, whatever else, every penny of that goes back to Xbox to fund Xbox studios to make Xbox games. So instead of being pissy pants about it, be happy about it. Because all of a sudden, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, guess what, Coalition? Greenlight and E-Day 2, you're not going to call it E-Day 2 because there's only one E-Day, but you can call it like, you know, the sequel to E-Day, and you get an extra 50 million, which by the way is another thing that we talked about. Well, I talked about someone at Microsoft about, and he said about the budgets. Remember that? He said the budgets of the games that they have coming that are in development, a lot of them already had the budget of the PlayStation built into those budgets.
Yeah, the report from Jez Corden was the studios all got an increase in budget because now the prospects look more healthy. And I also would say that the next Gears game,
Starfield,
the next Gears game,
Starfield got screwed.
Yeah, it did. Well, yeah, we could talk about that.
Well, the developers got screwed.
You got some
because they had. Yeah. I spoke to somebody. He says, I'll tell you word for word what he said. He said, you'll have another Bethesda situation. That's why they're not reversing the third party publication of the games. He says they have a Bethesda situation again where their bonuses were built on multi-platform, and then Starfield screwed them over by going by keeping off the other console, the larger install base outside of PC and Xbox.
Right.
So they were pissed.
Well,
apparently.
I mean, originally, contained within Bethesda before they were acquired, they can offer their studio, ZeniMax or whatever can offer them a certain bonus if they hit a sales metric on Starfield. They get acquired, and then they're told. I think Pete Hines was really pissed when they were told, you're only making the game for Xbox and PC, and that really pissed off Pete Hines, who behind the scenes argued with them quite fiercely before he left a year later, because he wanted that game to go to the world. And now you're cutting out PlayStation, which makes up 60 to 80% of the purchases of the game compared to Xbox. So I don't know about what your guy had said about it screws people out of their bonuses, because once they were, they had another 2 years of development Starfield with delays. The agreement was reconfigured. Like you're going to be on Game Pass, so I'm going to throw a number out.
It might have been removed. It might have been that bonus might have been removed, saying the parameters are different.
The bonus was reconfigured to the best of my personal opinion, because automatically you're going to lose 60% of the available numbers just on Xbox, because all of your diehard Xbox and PC guys are going to play it on Game Pass. So that's when it changes to number of players, and Bethesda's like 11 million people in the first month played Starfield, and they're excited because your guy says they got screwed. I think they probably got a little bonus, but they probably
I think what maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but what maybe he's trying to say is they didn't get screwed out of the bonus, but maybe they got screwed in terms of the size of the bonus, because then all of a sudden, like you said, the metric changed where like, well, now it's not being offered to another 60 million people, right? Not saying that it's going to go to 60 million people, not like 60 million people are going to buy it, but the exposure to 60 million more people would have sold X amount more copies or whatever, right? For especially for like a big, so maybe the size of the bonus was reduced. We're like, well, we expected to sell this much. My bonus could have been around this much, with projected sales and this and that, and who knows, right? So, anyways, whatever. I don't know. I don't know all those inner details. It's just interesting.
There's more that Mag is going to share in just a moment. We're going to talk about the release date window for Helix as I get through these questions here. Also, shout out to 4XP, who's not sponsoring today, but I am drinking legendary blue raspberry, and just shout out to them for being
with the
awesome.
Raspberry, eh?
I love it. It's
a blue raspberry. It's your jam, bro.
It's my jam, dude. Shout out to QMax with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, Mag, love you, bro. Hope Resident Evil 9 was so good. Was as good for you as it was for me. An easy 10 out of 10. Sorry, had to miss the live shows for it. Also, Colt, can't wait to see what's in store for the future of Xbox and Helix this week at GDC. I'm excited.
Excellent.
There's going to be a lot to cover. I'm kind of nervous because I don't know how much is coming in and how much we have to kind of translate it through all the tech talk. So
that's going to be all you, dude. I'm telling you right now. The GDC stuff,
I know. I'm like,
you cover all of it. I'll stay out of it. You put me in the business side, cool. Then the tech
I'm
side,
sure
you have
there's
to shove
gonna be
your
some
head
of that,
inside you have to shove your head inside the console and start pulling apart all the little all the little springs and motherboards and stuff. That's all you.
How'd that get in there?
Yeah. Thank you, QMax, by the way. I appreciate you, brother.
How'd that get in there?
Yeah. You break, it'd be funny. Colt shows up at the next GDC, not this one, and he's like farting around with the new fusion, we're calling it. And then he breaks it, and then he looks over at at Matt Booty and be like, "What'd you do, Booty?" And then run away.
Or it's like Cousin Eddie when he walks by in Christmas Vacation and breaks that little wooden thing. That's the best part of the whole movie for me. Kale, thank you for the two. Says they need versions for the cloud. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they'll probably put some of these chips in the cloud. Just don't put too many in there. Dub Mobile, thank you for the question. Says, this is a dumb question, Colt and Mag, but do you think the accessories for Helix will be proprietary? Or will you be playing Steam games and, or when you are playing Steam games, you can use whatever you'd like the DualSense? Absolutely. You'll be able to use the DualSense on this thing, I bet. You'll be able to use a supported Xbox 360 controller, just like a PC. I would hope that they also let you connect Bluetooth devices like earbuds, headsets, and stuff. Xbox typically locks that stuff down to Wi-Fi Direct. That's a change they need to make. Thanks for the question. Night of Cypher, thanks for the 5. Magnus will be on the same node as the RTX 6000. He says it's similar to 4090, 5080, 6070. Ti will be similar. I said last week, don't compare them to NVIDIA GPUs. It doesn't work. Compare them to AMD GPUs. The problem is most people like to talk about the 40 series or 50 series cards because that's always in the conversation. Just know what we know about this Project Helix. It's got a ton of just brute graphics power, sharp visuals, really nice ray tracing, and great performance. Chris, thanks for the 10. Says, I know about the new console will be niche, but I am curious about Asha's plans to expand the player base. In my experience, this is an Xbox campaign, just made a ton of gamers forget that the Xbox exists. Meg, this might be a good time to kind of interject some of the stuff you were hearing about Asha's approach. Why don't you tell us first about the very first thing when she started to take over?
You really want to talk about
last
that?
Night? Yeah, I mean,
like the hardware stuff.
Yeah, and you could preface it to protect.
Okay, I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, I mean, it's up to you.
Pronounced niche once again. The only person that's going to be boxing you is me, not a kangaroo. Anyways, okay. Well, there was. Okay, well, believe it or not, I wasn't even going to bring it up, but we'll bring it up now.
I mean, you don't have to. You can preface it however you want because it's up to the great people. We've got 785 people watching the show. It's really up to them whether what we say is accurate.
Not coming from us anyway,
or translated.
It's not
properly.
coming from us anyway.
Yeah.
So but either way,
take it as a thought experiment.
As she was taking over. Obviously, she's going to explore every single avenue, right? She's going to explore Game Pass. She's going to explore the studios, the quality of the games, and then the hardware, current hardware and future hardware. regardless of what was greenlit or what was not greenlit. As we had discussed before, the handheld was not greenlit. It was red lighted, but the Magnus / Helix was greenlit. However, she looked into it and was trying to get an understanding as to why does it make any logical sense to launch another console. So there was word that there was that she almost poop canned the Helix and said this doesn't make any sense. I don't want to say it, okay? I swore last week I want to make up for lost time, and she said she almost did that, but she was convinced otherwise, as you also may or may not have heard that there was too much R&D and money and research, funding and investment had already been poured into it, and say it would actually be financially unfeasible to stop at this point. However, they did not intend to make this a huge, they didn't plan on producing a lot of these. So it wasn't something that was going to be a major problem. I'm trying to dance around these words here. They weren't planning on producing 10 million, 20 million, 30 million out the gate to start anyway. So it wasn't going to be a monstrous investment. But they said that the money that they had already invested into the product, it said it would actually be foolish to reverse at this point. So it says, okay, well, how can we do this that can make it, that we can move it forward, and instead of being minus 32% in hardware sales, how can we move this in a positive direction? So she decided to approach it a different way. The other one says, it goes, exclusives aren't back at the moment, but she's open to the possibility, but it all depends on how things go over the next 18 to 24 months. She is very much more flexible and fluid with a desire to win. So nothing is off the table for her. So, but that's what you're supposed to do. If you go in there, like if I went in as a CEO and you went in as a CEO, would you just ignore it and say, well, 7 people on Twitter say I need the new hardware?
Or like some guy named Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat said we need the exclusives back. So I'm going to do that first, and then we'll see what happens from there. Yeah.
She's doing what I said earlier in the show. She's doing the rehab treatment. Okay? Because let's face it, when it comes to public perception, not dollars, public perception, they need rehab. And so she goes in there, and Satya probably said to her, he goes, listen, man, we're making money, but let's make some more money, and let's turn this into a positive so that every single podcast, article, newspaper, whatever, video on YouTube is not completely crapping all over us 24/7. Let's try and turn this thing around.
Doing it anyway.
And so that's exactly, she's coming in as a fixer, and she's been known to go in as fixers in different companies before and be able to raise their products exponentially, right? And so that's something that I could absolutely see her doing. So now when you do that, Colt, sorry, go ahead. You're not going to ignore.
I was going to tell you, Paris said, called her the wolf from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, she's the wolf. Oh, damn, you said it in the wolf?
That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said Friday or whatever. Yeah, we were dying. It was great.
That's right. She's the wolf. So she's, I hear you got a body in the. I hear you got a body in the back seat without a head. Take me to it, right?
Yep.
Yep. So that's basically what she's doing. So she's the cleaner. She's the wolf from Pulp Fiction.
Also,
and she's
I've
the
heard
rehab.
People really like her. I haven't heard any.
She's not to be toyed with, though.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to respect her, and when she speaks, they're listening, which is
she's smart. She's wicked smart, and nothing is off the table, Colt. And like I said, she's peeling back the onion to find where the rot is. What did I say to you last night on the phone in my drunken haze? I said,
"You said what
when
you
go
wearing?
To the dentist." Yeah, I did say that. Loops, I agree with you, dude. Even though your message got erased. Here's the thing: when you go to the dentist, folks, think about this for a second. When you go to the dentist, does the dentist go to your 4 teeth that are perfect and go, "You got 4 beautiful teeth. Have a good day"?
I never thought we'd be into dentist analogies, but here we are.
Dude, that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
The dentist, when you go to the dentist, he doesn't look at your 4 perfect teeth and say, beautiful, and leave. No, he goes looking for the cavities, right? And then when he finds them, what does he do? He starts to drill, get down to the bottom, find the root, no pun intended, the root of the problem. And that's what she's doing right now. And nothing is off the table. And therefore, from what we've, may or may not have heard for whatever, or we can speculate, the studios are shaking a little bit because they're scared because they're like, she's going to come down there and she's going to go, hi, what are we doing here? What are we making here?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're doing a game about
she has to learn the culture too. Oh, it's a game where you jump on an alligator and you hit ghosts.
She doesn't need to know that. She doesn't need to know that. You know what she needs to know? She doesn't need to be a gamer. You know what she needs to know? She goes, oh, okay, you're making a game about a flowery glass that sprouts little legs and goes running around all over the map, and you're jumping around doing stupid stuff. You know what she's going to say? She's going to go, yeah, okay, that's great. How much did your last game sell?
Yeah, you want to
And then
play
they'll
it?
be like, they get the crickets going, and she'd be like, yeah, okay, well, my metrics show that walking lighthouses and walking cups and all this other games, they're not selling. So what are we doing here? We're wasting millions of dollars here, and people are like laughing at us or whatever, right? And that's what she's doing. And she's gonna go studio to studio on the booty tour. And right now, I don't mean her booty, I mean Matt booty. She's going on the booty tour, and they're going from studio to studio. She don't care what you're making. She don't care that she doesn't know gaming. She could talk about Valheim all day or whatever, or one of her assistants.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know what the thing is? She goes, why is nobody playing this game? The engagement is not there. Why did we spend $85 million on whatever, fill in the blank, and no one's playing it? What is the problem? Why are we not connecting with the community? And that is exactly what's going to happen. That is what she's doing.
She's hiring 2 marketing directors, and she's hiring a couple of lead. I don't know what they are. There's some heavy rumors about that I can't talk about yet. But there's going to be some people coming in that we might recognize their names or their faces when they come in, and hopefully, I mean, it sounds like some of it's very, very positive. And Chris's question points at the campaigns that a lot of us didn't like. I don't know about that, but I would think if she's paying attention like Mag's doing, or she's stepping back and saying, where's the money, what's working, what's not working, that she'd probably
that's what she's called for.
That those
she's
3 things, this is an Xbox everywhere, and no console required, we'll probably never see those commercials again. And I really hope that's true. Incursion, thank you so much for the 5.
That's going to happen.
I hope so.
You'll never see those again.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like the other day we were doing the show and we were having that latency problem. Like I could hear you as soon as, like, that one day it was so, we were like all over the place. Who said that? Who was that? Incursion, thanks for the 5. Says, everyone forgets we still need to remember until we get the official word. Like the old quote says, trust but verify. I'm excited for the future of Xbox. Thank you.
No, that's fair. That's good. No, that's fair enough. One more thing I was going to say is that nothing is off the table, and that's what you're supposed to do when you're a fixer. When you're sent in there to do something, and you're going to change not only the culture. Now, when she said they were just going to change she was talking about the culture. They're not changing the business plan or whatever else. They're going to adjust the business plan. And she, like I said before, the guy, the person said she's very flexible and fluid when it comes to making decisions that make sense, that could get them into a positive category, which is fine. They are making money, so there is that, but there's not enough growth, and of course there's a negative stigma, and she's trying to remove that, which is fair, and that's exactly what I would do too. However, a lot of those business plans haven't changed, but some of them are still on the table that are being examined, and I know some people are going to get their panties in a knot about it. But like the other one that's being examined is Game Pass. And you brought that up. First person to bring that up, you say, what about Game Pass? That's a problematic thing. Now, I'm not saying she's doing anything. Don't ever say that. Don't clip it. Don't say Meg said this. No, we're not saying any of that. But it's on the table too, because it has to be looked at. You don't just, like I said, you don't walk in and ignore the problems.
Yes.
You have to examine the problems.
So, I've got Game Pass pinned after our next topic. And I want you and I want you to dive. No. Like this stuff's like when we answer questions, this stuff's going to come up. But I want you to do a pretty heavy dive into Game Pass, because I talked to somebody today, and there's some big ramifications for change that we have to discuss. 108 Dragon, my good friend Lemon says, when Helix drops.
Lemon, what's up, dude?
He's such a good dude. Thanks for the 5. He says, when Helix drops, that's the day Spider-Man hits Xbox. Game on, baby. What's good, gents in chat? And everybody say hi to 108. I always call him 108. I rarely call him Lemon. I've always known him as 108. But shout out to him. Yeah, Spider-Man will be on there, but that will be the buck stops with those 32 games. I think for the Helix and Steam Machine really set PlayStation.
You'll still get that access to those games. Yeah, I mean the ones that are already on there. Just play Days Gone and save yourself the time.
Yeah, it's a good game. Carlos Fontes, thank you for the 5, says, okay, so OG Xbox is number 1. 360 is number 2. Xbox One is the 3rd. Xbox One X and S were or 4. Those are still in the same generation. I see
Well,
where
there's
he's
a
going.
1X.
Xbox, yeah, he didn't put it in the 1X. Oh, yeah, he did, yeah. Xbox One X and S. Xbox Series S and X is 5. Just call Magnus Xbox Project Helix Xbox 6. Bro, you're wrong. You got to call it Xbox 7 and do a 1-up on the PS6. There you go. Not that it matters.
Colt, stop fanboying, Colt. Nonsense.
No, I'm with you guys on the 6 thing. Just call it a 6 and then just go from there. Like,
no, not 8-minute abs, 6-minute abs.
He's like, yeah.
Why not just do 4-minute abs?
Oh my god.
Do 4-minute abs? Not enough time.
I love how Ben Stiller is like so awkward. He doesn't want to have this conversation because he picked up this guy in his car. That's just brilliant comedy. Oxpope, thank you for the 5. Says, if Xbox gets their OS and app figured out, which they seem to be working on, do they make first-party games exclusive to their PC launcher? It's a whole discussion. I'm kind of with Mag. We're not going to see an exclusive e-brake pulled, if at all, at least for 12 months. There's a lot behind that. Andy Hart, thank you for the 25 months, says, do you think Sony pulling back on putting games on PC is a smart move and good strategy? I'll answer this quickly so we can get moving. Yes, it will help them sell more consoles. And like Meg always says, that helps them have more people buying games from their plastic box. Kill, thank you for the 5, says Microsoft should treat their games like they are worth more. Why should they put Gears and Halo on PlayStation when Sony won't even put their games on PC?
Because they don't have the install base for it. That's why.
Yeah. And
that's why Latitude happened.
And like Meg and I said last week, people don't like to hear it. Xbox's games so far have not been good enough to be only on one place. When you have a game that is undeniable, irresistible to the entire planet, then you can start doing that, but you have to have a chunk of them. Boner Jams with a $10 super chat.
Boner Jams?
Yeah. He says, I received a note from Mag congratulating me about my newly diagnosed Peyronie's disease. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud because I didn't even Google it. He said, enjoy taking the scenic route. What a good guy. What's good, boys? Long live Sega Saturn. He's always the classic retro gamer, and shout out to Under the Bus podcast. They're live every Wednesday, and they are hilarious dudes, good dudes. Toby Leahy, thank you for the 10-pound super. Says, with someone else with AI to help people with achievements and guide them, like Mag said, will help people when they get stuck on a game, again, guide them for achievements. I believe Xbox Helix is competing with PS6. A little bit. Udani says, let's just call it Xbox Cheeks 60. Cheeks 60. Thanks for the 2. All right, let's talk about the Xbox Helix, when it's supposed to release. It's supposed to be, according to everything that we look at, November 2027. Like Mag said, 18 months from the reveal of the project name. You broke this down in your video. It was awesome. You took the time to show it and say it. Really good stuff.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if Xbox is maybe figuring, maybe we're ready. I don't know how. Like the TSMC where they manufacture the chips is already spooled up, ready to go. Moore's Law is dead said they could have this thing out by the summertime next year if they wanted. And then I just sort of started to feel like, is it that far-fetched that they announced this thing in February or March, and then they're out by November of 2026? It sounds like insanity, but I was talking to someone else and they're like, kind of seems interesting, doesn't it? Instead of saying, nah, it's never happening. It kind of makes me just
Actually,
kind of
you know
feel
what?
Yeah. What do you think?
Dude, I got to tell you, I never gave it a chance at all to come out in 26. And I'm like, there's no chance in hell. It's going to come out in fall 2027. That's all there is to it, whatever. Because not only do you have to do that, you also have to form fit it. You have to 3D print like what it's going to look like, put the components together, fit it into a box, whatever. Right? But then, when we start talking about what this thing is actually going to be trying to take the focus away from, which would be the Steam machine, because I talked about it in my video, and I said, Xbox has got an uphill battle, because if people plunk down, let's say, for argument's sake, anywhere between 800 to 1,000 on a Steam machine in the fall of 26, why would they sit there and go, why am I going to spend another 1,000 11 months later to buy a Helix?
Right.
That seems ridiculous. It's kind of redundant. Yes, obviously you could play the Xbox experience on the Helix, which you wouldn't be able to do on the Steam machine. But the thing is, from a financial point of view, be like, I already spent $1,000 here. I'll play third party, whatever, a couple PlayStation games, Xbox games that are available on the Steam store already. Right. And that's it. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy this thing. But then you started getting those wheels moving in my head. And I'm like, wait a minute. If they are going to do that, and if Steam is taking away potential customers this year, what would stop them from just, like I said, they're not going to sell 10 million out the gate. They might sell 500,000, a million to start.
Yeah, they might get 1 million in the first year.
What would say to streamline 1 million of these things out the gate real quick and get it out in the next 7 months? Like, it's possible. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know, Chad. What do you think? Do you think I'm nuts? But I'm like, you never know. They might just pull some crazy stuff and just be like, you know what? We're doing it this year. And then as they launch or whatever, you're going to sell to the extreme hardcore. They're going to buy it right away, just like the ROG Xbox Ally X, right? But then after that, when sales cool down, you don't have to have them pumping these machines out of the factory every second. You could do 250,000 at a time and send them out and send them out and send them out. You know what I mean? And build it like that. I don't know. What do you think?
We talked about the form factor on Friday, right? And the Series X did something different. They stacked everything in a rectangular prism. All the components fit together perfectly. It was kind of a little miracle. And then they slapped a thermal foam formed box over it, and everyone made fun of it because it was just such a plain looking thing. But does it really matter? When I look at my Series X, I'm like, it's just a nice looking box. It doesn't look like a woman in a tall white dress like the PS5. So the form factor is great. And so I think, could they have the form factors designed and ready to rock at the end of the year? Maybe. And then there was the rumors, like when you and Game Seeker were talking about the Helix design, where a Helix is a line that wraps around sending up a cylinder. They even had that in their 2022 leaks. So it's like, you just build the form factor much like you did the Series X. You have your board, you put your heat sink, you put everything, you stack it together, and then you cram a thermoformed cylinder over it, and then you have 2 thermal channels on each side, like big voids to get rid of heat out the top. It's brilliant, and it's not going to take forever to make that and put it together. And I think that's probably what the Helix console will look like, a big black cylinder with holes in the top for venting. It'll look much like the Series X. And like, what does it need to be? The Steam machine is just a cube with a light on the front.
Just
it doesn't,
dude.
It
looks like the Series X that was literally cut in half with a samurai sword.
And
like, that's all it is. Like,
and the people that
fancy,
you don't, because the people that create like these, contrary to popular belief, like I've used this, the fake Magnus consoles that are on my thumbnails. It's not AI. I don't use AI for that sort of stuff. I've modified actual PC cases that I found online, and I've modified them and drew over them in Photoshop to create like some simple form factor, because everyone thinks next generation means all these wings coming off and these things and lights and buttons everywhere.
Nobody bought the Series X because it looked cool. Nobody bought the PS5 because it looks
People
cool.
don't want that.
They just bought it because it's functional. I mean, it looks cool to look at. Both of them are like, if you put them up, like I used to have them in a different display where I had them on a TV or whatever, not in my studio that I have now. Now you can't even see them, actually. But like if you look at my setup, you can't even see the consoles. They're on shelves hidden. But the thing is like no one's buying them to stare at it. It's not a piece of art. They're using it for the functionality of it. So the thing is, if you think about PC, Colt, everybody's PC. You've got the shell, right? They all look the same, dude. Nobody gives a crap. There's hundreds of millions of PCs out in the world people are using right now, and they all look the effing same. It's literally just a bloody square or a rectangle. The
PCs do look
with
cool,
a clear
like,
side. So
PCs have like all the bells and whistles on them, for sure. But
like I have the ones with the RGB lights and stuff. So like, and it's got the glass cabinet on the side, so I can see like all the I see all the RGB like fans spinning and stuff, and like the little tubes like all glowing and all different colors. Like okay, it's fun, but like, there's nothing crazy about this. It's a bloody rectangle, right? They don't need something that looks insane. Just have a cool LED lighting around it that has like green coming out the side, and you put it in a stupid box and you sell it. People won't care about what it looks like as long as it looks nice in the living room. They want it for the functionality, and then they have to get it out because of competition. Dude, I'm really on that side now of saying that I think there's a possibility. I'm leaving the window open. I'm not shutting the window. I'm leaving the window open. You might get this thing sooner than you expected.
I know. I'm kind of feeling the same. I feel dumb to say it because it seems like how in the heck are they going to get it in time? But if you do a 25th anniversary event, it's kind of hard to believe, Meg, because they would actually reveal this thing at the showcase in June. But knowing that they're doing a 25th anniversary event, like you can't show us the Helix and then turn around and have it on the market that month. Like that's insanity. It's not a good idea.
You have to show it in June. But Cole, you only need one for the show, and it doesn't even have to be functional. It could just be the box with some fake lights on it.
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean? And
when we see it, it's CGI. You know, it's a 3D rendering of what the thing looks like, right? Yeah. But I could. You know,
if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet on this because I say this is not a sure bet.
I know people are going to say
it's not a sure bet. It's coming. Not a sure bet. It's not.
Yeah, people are probably like, Meg and Cole think it's going to be out in 2026. I don't know. They would have to show it at Showcase, and then they would have to there would be a big there's a lot of work to do, but I don't know.
But you want to fix stuff up, dude. You got to work.
I'm going to read this response.
And I can tell you this Asha sounds like she's working, which means she's expecting everybody. Listen, man, y'all been like sitting around dragging your feet. It's time to pull up your socks and let's get to work.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you that's what's happening. She's not being nasty, not being rude, but she's saying, "Yo, wake up. It's time to put your asses in gear, get to work." Let's go. It could be. I mean, they brought her in and they're ready to launch the console very soon. Even in 18 months is really soon. I said I'm really starting to feel like Helix could be possible for 2026 or even spring of 2027. And one of my buddies was like, "What makes you think that?" And I said, the timing of the AMD Magnus, the TMSC manufacturing window. I said the Steam machine delaying to the end of the year. It just makes me feel like maybe Xbox is trying to hit holiday 26 as well. And then they just replied to me and said, "Would be interesting, huh?" And I thought, I feel like that person, is kind of thinking the same thing. Like, it's okay to think, hey, is it possible? And I didn't talk to you about this because I was messaging my buddy about this today, but you were kind of in the same wavelength. Like, maybe this thing could be this early. Yeah, we're not betting on it. It's not some weird hopium. Like, I really don't care either way, but I'm just saying, I'm not buying any new hardware this year at all. The next time I'm looking at hardware is minimum a year and a half. So, the thing is, I'm looking at it right now and I'm just like, if I were a betting man, I wouldn't put my bet on either of them because I'd be looking at them going, you know what? This is a wash because I'm not certain. And of course, I'm not getting any word, but like, I don't know, dude. I mean,
my buddy in the chat
happen.
Yeah. My buddy in the chat, Steady Steve-O from Game Set Live.
Steady Steve-O, how's it going?
He's awesome. And he knows so much about tech, way more than me. He said TSMC is manufacturing the Helix APUs now. I've never seen that report, but Moore's Law said, like, I don't know, 6 months ago that they were ready to start making those Magnus chips. So it could be. I see in the chat, make the world smile 9's like spring 2027. Yeah, I mean, I know maybe Xbox is thinking we need to listen to Meg. They're thinking, right? They're like, we need to have this thing out alongside the Steam machine, but we can't
not give them a jump. You can't give them the jump.
Yep.
I mean, if it's possible. But the other thing is too, like I said, you're not trying to launch 25 million in the first 3 months. You might sell 1 million in the first 3 months, maybe, right? Maybe not even crack 1 million. We're not even sure because not a lot of people want hardware right now. And the second thing is price, right? Yes, I see people in the chat saying, I'm buy when I buy. Okay, but you're part of like the 2%, right? Which are the 2% of what do? They're the hardcore that watch the shows, that, listening to podcasts, listening to us, watch our videos, whatever. And so I'm thinking to myself, they don't have to produce that much is what I'm getting at. Therefore, they won't have this massive backlog of production out of Vietnam and wherever they have to go to get it done. They only have to produce 500,000. Like,
broke.
and then just keep pushing them out 250 mil, 250 thou at a time.
Oh yeah,
maybe even less. So like, get an initial.
Kicker, Mag.
You know what I mean?
When Helix releases, it'll be hard to find. It'll be hard to find. I bet. And not
But,
because
look at the ROG
Xbox is
Ally.
amazing, but they will. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let me read Broke Boy's $2 super. He says, Xbox ROG announced in the summer, and they released it by the fall. He's like, Helix 2?
But they didn't have to make that many. Exactly, Broke Boy. But they didn't have to make that many. Because
and
everybody's
you're
like, oh,
right,
it's sold
Mag.
out. But then
You're
you
right,
look at
they're
the
not-
small detail.
They're not
They
going to
were
make
sitting on
millions
shelves
and millions of Helixes at a time, because they know they're going to be limited to how many people want them. They're going to have to start small, but and don't sit here and tell me that the ROG Ally Xbox is a small item to put out in the market. It's $1,000 handheld. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and then it had the undercooked software to go with it. The other question is,
Risk
will
it. They didn't
Xbox
even
have
sell
their-
500,000. They didn't even sell 500,000 ROG Xbox Allies. So like, no.
well, do we have
you say
numbers for that,
500,000
guys? ROG,
No,
probably not.
I mean, no, I'm talking about in the launch window. Like, you can drop 500,000 in the launch window and be totally fine. Because, like I said, I don't think you're gonna sell out of them. But it would get the momentum rolling.
You're right.
And
Meg's right. There's
I
no
know.
official news. But
Brisket is wrong again. 0 for 37.
GamesIndustry.biz says analysts estimate the sales in hundreds of thousands rather than millions.
Right.
But they're priced to make money.
They're priced for an appropriate audience. But I'm saying you don't have to make millions out of the gate. I think Asha's thinking the same thing. She goes, guys, okay, in the very least, can we squeeze out 300,000 out the gate? 400, whatever. What can we get out the gate realistically? Scotty, I need more you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need more power, Scotty. And then, and then Scotty's down there and he goes, I can only get 350,000 Xboxes at a time, Captain. Right? And then it's just like, whatever. And she says, give me whatever you got. Give them whatever they got. Get the ball rolling, get it out there. And then you could just produce them as they go along. That's also good for optics. Xbox Fusion sold out. They did it with the ROG Ally. It didn't work.
Xbox,
but they still did it with the ROG
crashes.
Ally. They're like sold out. And then you read the small print. It says on one Microsoft store in Spain. And, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool story. But anyway, the point is that that's great for optics too, because people are going, what the hell is this ROG? Or sorry, what the hell is this Xbox Fusion? It's people are buying it. They're talking about it. They're not going to think about Steam machine. That's how you do it. Like I said, get the ball rolling. It doesn't have to be a big ball, but it could be a small one, and you could grow it over time and keep producing 100,000 at a time, 100,000 at a time. Get them out there.
And when you're
just a thought, dude.
If the Xbox Helix is, a steady Stevo goes $899. I'm going to say 1,000 for Meg and I kind of feel like we kind of agree on 1,000 right now. We're kind of feeling that, right? If this thing at $1,000 is kind of hard to find, you'll have the Nintendo effect where people are like, hey, people like this thing. It's hard to find. People must like it. I kind of have to have one. And Xbox really needs hey, I got to have this, because they haven't really had that in a long time. I want to talk to you about Game Pass because
sure.
Asha Sharma is looking at the disruptive nature of Game Pass. And you were talking to somebody that had and we kind of briefly touched on it, an insight of how Game Pass is doing, because your guy said Colt's going to say this. So go ahead and take it on this Game Pass change that we're looking at.
Well, it's funny because he actually listens to more people listen to the show than I think we realize. Speaking of the show,
hey, there's 800 watching. Like, hit the like button, guys, if you're enjoying the show.
Yeah, there's 800 people watching
and over here.
Yeah. And on top of that, if you look at the poll, it is overwhelming that the audience is saying that it's going to come 27. Regardless, hey, listen, and my idea is just a spitballing idea. I'm not saying it's a fact, and I should do it. I'm just saying I think that'd be pretty cool. But anyways, whatever.
Yeah, if they were 26, I would do the face, right? I would do the face like, oh my gosh, they actually did it. I mean, I've got thumbnails saying 2026 because they that's the other thing, Mag. A year and a half ago, I think. We're talking end of the summer of 2025 or 20, whatever it was. The report was they're jumping into next generation 2026. And then like 4 or 5 months later, I started making videos about 27 because Jez Corden heard they were actually moving the target to 27. So if they at least wanted 26 at one point, could they still try and hit it? Doesn't sound all that plausible to me. So all right, okay, let's talk about Game Pass.
Yeah, we're just having fun.
We are.
We're having fun.
We are.
They're looking at Game Pass. Like I said, they're looking at every facet, right? Because, like I said, a dentist goes in and starts looking for cavities, not for your good teeth. So they're looking around. They're trying to find out where the rot's coming from. Where's the disconnect? Where's the lack of growth? All these kind of things. The first thing that was looked at and attacked right away, which I guess everybody could have guessed immediately, was the hardware. The hardware was the absolute first thing, with diminishing returns to the point of almost catastrophic, over 30% drop in hardware. That was the first thing that she looked at going, what the hell is happening over here with this hardware? And so they're looking at that. She started exploring that. The next thing she was looking at, not that it's catastrophic, not by any means, because it's actually making money before we, we could set that straight, is Game Pass. Because then the next question beyond that, you're talking about sales, percentages, publishing rights, exclusivity, lack of exclusivity, and a subscription service. Now, the subscription service is making well over $1 billion. However, when they sat down and had a meeting, and I can read it here, when they sat down and had a meeting about it, says Game Pass does make a billion net profit plus. But weighing that against the 30% of game sales plus 100% of first game party sales, more than $1 billion would be made if they actually removed Game Pass. Now, that was just brought up in a conversation. That was something they had a meeting about, as you know. But the thing is, when you talk about stuff like that, there are logistics. Like Hargeet is like stacked up till 2076. When after he's dead, he's passing it on to his grandchildren. Right? It's in his will.
We won't be alive in 2076.
If you actually look at Hargeet's will, which I saw. I mean,
pull out the will real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the will. It's right here. Anyways, when he dies, his great-grandchildren are getting Game Pass in the will, and they have to split it equally. But anyways, in all seriousness, it's like they're going to have to – there's a logistical problem there. Because if you do something like that, first of all, you're going to piss off a lot of people that are in it, which are tens of millions of people subscribed to it already. So these are conversations they're probably having.
Hold on. I have to interject this because I know you have other stuff you got to say. If – Asha decided to get rid of Game Pass in the near future, and because it is eating into the sales of their games and it's changed customer behavior, they'd actually be looking at legal recourse for the promises they promised for 2025 and beyond that they were going, or 2026 and beyond, that they were going to put out 75 day and date games on Game Pass. So
that's not a legality though. They could still say in the fine print, even in the fine print of the Game Pass, when you sign up to Game Pass, the fine print of the legal agreement, somewhere in there says we can cancel this at any time and just stop. Spotify does the same thing. Spotify does the same. Dude, I saw it because I read those.
So there's going to be a class action lawsuit that Riskit will start. Yeah,
we could just cancel it. Well, you could try. Good luck.
Yeah.
But it's literally written in the legal agreements. Are like, listen, this is a service that's provided on a monthly basis or whatever. When we provide X amount of product for X amount of dollars and blah, 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 blah. It said, however, if it is deemed that is not worth it anymore, there's usually a grace period, which they'll give people enough time to back out. And then from there, they could shut it down and walk away. And you walk away with absolutely nothing. You walk out with your,
Happy Bomb in the chat says promise. And I know we use that word a lot, but they marketed in their business model that when you buy this product and you're subscribing to this product, that you are supposed to expect a certain amount of return or product and services available. Mag's probably right. There probably is something in there so that we could change, subject to change at any time.
Absolutely. Subject to change at any time. They could say, we're done. And then you walk away with an empty library. And a lot of people over the last 7 years have been conditioned to not buy games. And not everybody, but
they think they own those games because they've been playing.
They walk away and they look at this. They look at their Xbox. They got nothing. So there's going to be logistical problems.
I want to say
if they decide to even look at that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I want to say that it doesn't seem feasible or logical for Asha to remove Game Pass to say we're not doing that anymore. I'm going to co-sign with Riskit. He says she would likely not get rid of it, but change it. I've said this before. And I'm going to say it again, and people hate it. But maybe what Asha needs to do is look at Game Pass and say, no more first-party games. And I know we talked last week about putting them in a higher tier. If you're willing to spend the extra money, you can have all of your cake and eat it too. But what's wrong with saying...
Why would you just buy it? Why would you just buy it at that point? You raise Game Pass anymore, you might as well just buy the game for an extra $30.
Absolutely. It's already too high as it is.
You know what I mean? Like what are we talking about here?
So what she needs to do is look at maybe pulling first party and Call of Duty and stuff out of the service, because I'm starting to come around to why not make Game Pass like a better version of PS Plus. It's your access to a bunch of games to discover, older games you may not have played or bought, and you get hundreds of games, because there are literally 400 games at a time on Game Pass all year long. You have 400 games, and then Xbox is throwing in 10 of their games every year or 8 of their games. So the prospect would be you as a consumer say, what am I missing out on? I'm not going to get Gears E-Day on their day and date. I'm going to have to buy that outright. And so maybe she's like, we need to get our consumers to buy our games, because when you put out Gears E-Day, there's probably 6 million people that are not going to buy the game because they'll sub to Game Pass. And your guy said, Colt's going to say, but they make $1 billion in profit, but they also spend a lot of money. And they're paying for those studios, and it's a totally different business model. So hold on, just gotta.
Now, no, we're not saying, by the way, chat, I'm reading the chat while Colt's talking. We're not saying it's happening. We're not saying it's for sure. We're just saying it's being looked at, because it's pretty obvious. She is looking at every facet of the business and not only analyzing it, dissecting them, pulling it apart, doing the pros, doing the cons. And that's where one of my people was there for that. And they're talking about it, saying, tell me the good, the bad, the ugly, write it down. Let's take a look at it on the whiteboard. And we have to examine every facet. So no one's saying it's going away, whatever, but they have to be explored. So let's just say, you know what she does next? You think she works by herself? She got like all kinds of people. She could point to a guy and say, okay, I need a full report by Friday as to how we would deal with the people that are stacked for several years. What would be your financial solution to deal with the people who are stacked for several years if we indeed decide to cancel Game Pass in 90 days? Go. Then they go to the next guy and says, okay, I need a financial report of how many people we're going to lose, how many we're going to gain.
There's probably so many
decide to
cons
bring
there.
Game Pass to $35. Go. And then goes to the next guy. And she takes every scenario, takes in all the info, plugs it into the AI analyzes it, she reads it. Right. And that is what's happening. Yeah. So before, like, we're just setting that straight. So we're just looking at all that. That's what we're talking about.
And I don't think they would get rid of Game Pass completely. And your opinion?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know, because everything is on the table right now for her to examine. And I don't know her well enough to say, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that many people that are working with her directly, only 2.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I can't say what she's going to do. If you were to ask my personal opinion, I don't see it going away anytime soon until she has more metrics in her hands. As she says, okay, like I said before, 2026 is a very telling year for Xbox. That's why this year is going to be very important for metrics.
This is going
She's
to
going to look at
learn.
5 flagship titles this year, right? We're going to see how they sell third party. Excuse me. Sorry, I got the hiccups. We're going to see how they sell third party, see how they sell first party, see how many people engage in Game Pass. They can talk as much crap as they want. They know exactly what people are playing, even though they don't tell us the numbers.
Yeah, they know.
They know the hours, how many people engage, and all that kind of stuff. They don't tell it publicly, but they know all that. And then after this year is over, she's going to say, okay, these are the numbers that we have based on whatever, blah, 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 for the 5 flagship titles. Then she's going to look at 27 and go, okay, we don't have any flagship titles coming out in 27. All the flagships came out in 26. Let's see what these other studios, the supporting studios, can put out beyond those studios. Because you ain't getting no Halo in 27. Like, not a new one anyway, right?
You know what I would do, Meg?
But you're getting, you know what I mean? So you're going to need another year. So that's why my dude said 18 to 24 months before she makes a move. So I think for the next 2 years, it's going to be status quo, so to speak.
Yeah.
With some minor changes.
I would do, if I was them, and they're probably doing this, I would look at last year, all of the first party games that Xbox put out, and I would say, how many people played that game and how many sells? I would put those 2 numbers up against each other and say, how many players and how many sold? And then I would do a simple math equation. what if we took those, what if we look at last year and those games were not on Game Pass? How much money would we make compared to having them on Game Pass? And that will tell her answer. And I'm thinking the really difficult thing, Mag, is I'm being proven wrong a lot when it comes to Xbox's approach to exclusivity and their Game Pass model, because now that I've seen how drastic things are getting, I have to kind of look at things like, because I try to look at things like, as a consumer, I don't care how much money they make. I don't care how much money they lose. I want a good value because I'm a consumer. I don't care. I don't have stock in Xbox. I don't care how healthy their shareholders look, but there are going to be major changes, and maybe, just maybe, because you and I don't think they're going to cancel Game Pass. At least I don't think they would. I think it would be more likely that they make
Not
it
for the
more like
interim.
PS Plus.
Not for the interim. Like I said, she needs more metrics now that she's in charge. She's gonna look at more. There may be some slightly restructuring, but they're not canceling it as of yet. Magnum, that is the stupidest thing you've ever said, and you've said a lot of stupid things.
What
a lot. But this is the Hall of Fame of the stupid.
For the viewers
I
at
can't wait
home
for him to be a
listening on
Magcast
demand, what did Magnus say?
He says, he goes, so Magnum. Not Magnus, Magnum. He goes, so Mag, you want them to aim for only 10 million consoles and kill Game Pass. Brilliant business brain you got there. That is literally the exact opposite of what I said.
What?
If that's what you got from that, you should probably go back to school.
Well, and by the
I
way,
need
what
you
is
in the chat tomorrow because he's my mod, so I need him.
Yeah, I know, and he's a good dude.
So
but
just show up.
We literally gave you a simple math equation. If they made $8 on every Magnus console or Helix, and they only sold 10 million, like that's a big chunk of money. You know, if they were losing it, it would be bad. But
and they're not going to sell more than 10 million, not at the price. We've already seen, and anyway, whatever. We're going to have to get in that conversation again. We literally just did it. But anyways, it's all being examined. It's not actually happening. It's being examined. And I think 18 to 24 months is when I think solid decisions will be made, unless something really drastic happens in the next little while where she has to pivot and make a move, because like I just read, is that she's very fluid. And she will make moves if she sees something heading in the wrong direction. She's not going to go down with the ship. She's going to say, pivot, let's go. We're going to do this, this, and this, and change. You know what I mean? So there might be something that would change on the fly.
Yeah.
What did she say? Dude, she literally told us without telling us. The plan is the plan until it's not the plan. Whatever the hell it was. Was that
she
the quote?
said, Satya and Asha had a town hall meeting.
No, not that. The plan thing. Remember?
Yeah, the plan's the plan until it's not the plan.
Until it's not the plan. That's exactly what she was saying. If you guys, everybody should understand that. That's exactly what she meant. Is that she could pivot on a dime if something's going down. She ain't gonna sit there and go, oh well, I guess the ship's going down, and then watch the ship go down, and they just sit there and watch the Titanic sink in slow motion. She's gonna get out there and start paddling.
Yep.
You could tell by their personality. You know what I'm saying? Pivot. And that's not how you spell pivot. Titan Drago, you're a teacher, mind you. You know,
I love Titan. I love Titan.
Maybe Magnum's a teacher too. Pivot with an A.
Titan Drago is a math teacher. He doesn't have to spell, and he's spelling the math version of pivot. Titan's hilarious.
Risk it. She does have that much time. They even said they're in it for the long haul. She will be there for quite a while.
Yeah, I've got this quote right here. Let me read it, Mag.
Yeah, sure.
By
the way, no open check.
She said. Yeah, no blank check. The actual quote was, that's why I'm long in it. Phil, he's always talked to me about how gaming is the largest entertainment category. What is gaming in its most expansive form going forward? This doesn't mean we walk away from people or what people are doing today. When we think about a AAA game on a console, the question is about where else can we go to extend that? For me, we're long on gaming. We'll continue to invest and we'll always do so. Sorry, this is Satya. I don't know why I said Asha. It's up to this team to show an excellence in execution and creativity. Software always carries risks, but this is software with lots of creation risks. It's way different, but yet we have to be best in class in it. Satya also says that we understand that games are great because they're made from human creations. They can't be pumped out in a factory using AI. So, I mean, this is a lot of like really flowery, cloud, fluffy words to say to a group that's listening to, make sure your job security is good and that you care about gaming because the fans are going to hear it. But it's really proof is in their actual actions if they're going to do it right by the fans. And when we talk about Helix letting you play all your PC games and your Xbox games back and forth seamlessly and allowing you to have have more power to play those games and come up with some sort of compromise where Game Pass works for everybody, but also works for the health of the business. And I don't know, when you talk about yanking those first party games, Mag, it really pisses off people by all rights. And unfortunately, the people that paid forward,
because you've been conditioning people for 8 years to do it.
Yes.
You've conditioned people for 8 years to not buy games and to get into Game Pass, and they pushed it. They pushed it. Microsoft was pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So people are like, all right, cool. You want us to do it? We'll do it. And then they're doing it. And then they get their best. Then there was talk about that Call of Duty wasn't going to go to Game Pass. And then Phil pushed hard to get Call of Duty into Game Pass. And look how that turned out. You know what I mean? So like all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, we gotta adjust this slightly or whatever. Not saying they will, but we don't know. To me, it's 50-50 right now. Before I would have said it's 90-10 that they would not get rid of Game Pass. I've shifted that to 50-50 now.
Wow. Okay.
It's 50-50. It's just a flip of a coin, dude.
Yeah,
like, I
mean, I guess you should expect that. I feel more like 80% they're not going to get rid of it, but I think they're going to cut the legs out from underneath it. I want to ask you, Mag, if you were in charge, would you pick and choose which first party games go in Game Pass and keep the big ones to be purchase only?
Dude, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that. How do you differentiate what you think is great and what do you think the audience will react to? I mean, we have a basic idea as gamers. We know what's going to hit. Like, we know what's going to hit. Like, I can tell you right now, regardless of whatever, like when I saw some of the games like Avowed, I knew it was like, I was like, this is going to be like good for a little bit, whatever. I don't think it's going to hit big. You have a vibe, right? And you're like, I think it's going to be a good game, but I don't think it's going to take off with the general community. And then you see other games, you're like, that's going to be a hit, or this is going to be a hit. But the problem is, how do you, as let's say the Lord of Game Pass, this is your job now, and how would you be able to differentiate?
The Lord of Game Pass.
How would you differentiate? No, I'm saying I'm 50-50. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence as to whether they cancel it or not. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I'm not, you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not 50-50 on anything else. But what I'm saying is, how do you differentiate what games you keep on, what games you keep off? Because it's going to be impossible. Like,
you made such a good point, Mag. Like, the community as a whole, gaming fans could tell. Like, they looked at Arc Raiders and they were like, this is going to be big. And they looked at Expedition 33. This is going to be huge. They looked at High Guard. This is going to fail. And they might be wrong with Marathon. I think Marathon's doing awesome. But Matt Booty doesn't have that. Unless he's like, I'm going to sit on Twitter all day. I'm with Meg. I don't know how in the world, Matt Booty and his team could look at something like Keeper and go, let's just put that in Game Pass. Because there's also the wild card. You never know. Like, this game where you walk around as a lighthouse could have been like the breakout hit of who knows, It wasn't. That's an interesting question. Let me grab some questions as well. We got Q-Smax, thank you so much for the 2, says, my cousin Jamie Brenkus is the 8-minute abs guy. Like, for real?
No way, come on.
That's crazy.
But Colt and I are doing 6-minute abs. So like he's out of business.
I'm doing the 0-minute abs. I barely get out of bed in the morning. Mr. Tech 23, thank you for the 5. Can Xbox really dig themselves out of this hole, or has too much damage been done? What device should Microsoft produce for the masses?
They're not making a device for the masses. They're doing accessibility.
Yeah.
Cloud, products you already own, smart TVs, monitors, all that kind of stuff.
Hardcore for the hardcore. Yeah.
Hardcore for the extreme, like hardcore for the hardcore, accessibility for everybody else. Plus, don't forget, series consoles will be supported for at least the next 4 to 5 years. So, you know what I mean? So there won't be an issue.
Yeah. Mr.
So they have avenues. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I'm just the question about, can they dig themselves out of this hole?
They're not really in a hole per se. They're making
I would
money.
say they are.
They're making profit. Jesus Christ. They're making profit. I was thinking about a cup of coffee and I said profit. They're making profit. They're just not growing as much as they would like.
Yeah, I think he means the proverbial hole. Like, Xbox is kind of like the, 4th place, and they're the
yes.
Are we
that kind of sucks.
Well, let me check with my PR rep. Are we allowed to say redheaded stepchild as a derogatory?
Just say it anyway, Colt. Don't be afraid.
It's super racist to the
Don't be
gingers
afraid.
in
No,
the
it's
world.
not. No, it's not. It's fine. It's fine. I make up for it because I love ginger women. So we make up for it one way.
Yeah, we do make up for it. And
yeah, there you go.
St. Patrick's Day is coming up. We got that was so racist. Toby Leahy, thank you for the £5 super. I love how the world has like finally relaxed and like if as long as you don't hate, man, just don't hate. Just be nice.
Magnum and I could bust each other's balls like all day, and like it's no problem. I'm laughing at his joke now.
Yeah,
he says making profit, and he goes, "You told me to go back to school." It's like that's what we do. You spend, listen, man. When you're sitting around with your mates or whatever, you're having a pint. Someone says something, you piss you. You punch them in the side of the head, and then you keep drinking your beer and you have fun. That's you know what I mean. Like nothing ever happened.
Yep. You've had a half pint already. We watched the extended yesterday.
I'm getting one.
I know. Pints. I know a Baggins. Frodo Baggins.
Wood pit busted my balls too. Like CEO Mag, we need more profit.
Can you imagine?
You can't say anything in this chat, man. You can't say anything on the show. This chat is like a bunch of savages, starving savages, just waiting for a scrap of food. You drop a scrap of food, it's over. They're gonna eat you alive.
I mean, you couldn't even say genre without getting eaten alive.
Or niche. Say niche.
Niche. Toby Leahy,
dude,
thank you. Thank you for the £5 super. Says, have a good evening, gents. I'm off to bed. Everyone enjoy. My life's done. My life's done.
Did you say your life's done?
My life is done at 360. 5 months clean and sober in 8 days.
Good for you, man.
By the way, Tomb Raider looks nuts. Still don't have a release date, but congratulations to you,
This
bro.
year.
This year.
This year. But you know what, though? I hear that Black Flag is confirmed for 26 now.
Do we know? And thank you for saying it correctly, by the way. Black Flag.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not Randall Thor. Yeah. I heard what he said. I heard what he said. You know, I played that like 85 times in a row because I couldn't stop laughing. Dude, I'm like burning up because I'm laughing so much.
The next
I played
morning
it for my whole family. I played it for my whole family. I played it for my brothers, my mom. I go, you got to hear what this guy said. And they're like, did he say that? And I'm like, yeah. But I go, it's so funny. Anyways.
This was me. I was like, and then I see Red Wolf in the chat. He's like, did he really? Bad. And I go, he sure did send. And then in the morning, I zoomed in to the YouTube editor and I was like, clip, got rid of it.
See, Maverick knows what's up. Maverick knows what's up.
What do you?
Oh my God! Yeah, they're saying that, and even Steady's like, it was lucky that AI didn't pull his content for that one. Oh my God! Yeah. Hey, blue number. Shit. See, she says, Mag, you weren't the only one. Listen, man. Let me tell you something. All right. Okay, it was the funniest thing ever. But people making fun of Profi. If you heard what Rand said, you'd never hear the end of it, man. It was
great.
It was great. We can't say it, Carlos. We can't say it.
It was just
a slip of the tongue.
Yeah, it was I'll give you a slip of the tongue. Yeah, it was a misspoke thing, and he didn't even realize it, and so he just kept going. And I don't know. I'm just like at this point, like I said, if you don't mean anything out of hate, just who cares?
No.
And he's such a good dude. So yeah, we appreciate him.
He is a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
I said hi to him a few weeks ago.
Actually, he's not. His podcast sucks. We're way
3
better.
weeks ago.
Okay, let's.
Well, yeah, that's business, not personal.
Oh yeah. Where was I? Risk it.
It ain't show friends. It's show business.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It ain't show friends.
Yeah, show
business.
Show business. Broke Boy, thanks for the 2, says, well, yeah, I read that one. Yeah, he's right. Xbox ROG Ally was like a 3-4 month turnaround. Risk it for the biscuit. Thank you so much for the Australian 8. Says it all comes down to whether Xbox wants to be smart or be stupid. Smart is a launch ASAP. Will they avoid the rakes? Come on, even you love that chat there, Mag.
Well, of course I do. Of course I do. No, I agree with Risk It. He's right. He's right. He's absolutely right. The whole super chat was correct. I agree with Risk It.
Answer him. Will they avoid the rakes, Mag?
That's up to them, dude. That's not up to me.
No, it's just
but I mean, history shows.
When will you avoid rakes?
History shows they love them rakes. I mean, as soon as they do some. Yep.
When will you avoid rakes?
Oh my God! Yeah, here
Completely.
comes the rake stepper, murder. There you go, Skillet Will. Yeah, you should do that. Someone AI that of like Satya and like Asha. Here come the rake stepper, murderer, and they're just walking around.
And then it goes,
and then
"Nope."
it says like launch of the new, or sorry, announces new Xbox, and then like all of a sudden the next rake smokes him in the face, goes lays off 10,000 or
Lays
whatever.
off
I'm just making,
10,000. Price hike on Game Pass.
Shuts
Yeah.
down Gears of War.
Hires Web Dave to be their marketing leader.
Oh,
no,
my, dude, don't ever
shout out
do
to
that, Web Dave.
Web Dave's next up
No.
on the docket with the $2. Thank you, Web Dave. He says Xbox Next Gen release date is the same day as GTA 6. Bet. Can you imagine?
Hold on. Repeat that for me, please.
He says next Xbox Gen release date is the same day as GTA 6. Bet.
I mean, that would be pretty
That would be
insane.
funny. That would be funny. We would have some laughs. Yeah. Mag and I would both go, huh? Brock Boy, thanks for the 5. What's that?
Yeah. No. We're going to get into a whole bloody conversation. I don't want to get into it now.
Okay. Broke Boy, thanks for the 5, says, if they cancel Game Pass altogether, Colt Mag, there are a lot of people, customers stack subs who will be extremely pissed off, me one of them. I was going to say, the people that have stacked up Game Pass, they haven't done that like via the proper way. Like Xbox doesn't, I guess they let you stack them, but I don't remember how people were doing it recently, but I guess they allow it. And I said on the show on Friday, watch them just give you a back retroactive credit of Game Pass Core or some crap.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's for them to figure out. And no one's saying it's happening anytime soon. But yeah, obviously, like I said before, when she gets all the pros and cons, she sends a different person from each, like, you know what I mean? She has like 8 people standing in front of her, and she's going to send them all to research different things. Put them through the AI, figure out what would happen, how it would be logistically possible, and then it's her decision to make that decision. She doesn't do the legwork there. She just sits there and takes all the information, all the metrics, all the, you know what I mean? And then just looks at it, all the analysis, looks at it, and then makes the decision. That's your job as the CEO. You don't act on the work. You act on the result. That's how a CEO works. So anyways, carry
on. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat. Thank you for the Australian 5.
My boy.
Says, dude, thank you for being up early and watching the show with Mag and I. We appreciate it. Question. When will they release the next Skyrim and you buy on Xbox? Would you be able to install all the mods that would come out on PC?
I would imagine so. Maybe.
Yeah, you'd be able to do the PC version of it. You'd have to play the PC version, not the Xbox version. So you'd have to buy it separately. But I don't know a lot about, I don't mod Skyrim as much, but there are hundreds and hundreds of mods available on the Xbox version. Probably as many as you'd probably need. But Mr. Docky 87, thanks for the MX100, says what they can do is, say, for example, you must have at least 3 months of Ultimate to start getting games day one. That way they flesh out the people who switch to Ultimate when the new games comes out. I don't know how they do. Could they do something like that, Mag?
I don't know. That'd be real messy. That'd be really messy. That'd be a move too. That'd be a logistical nightmare, and then you'd have to keep tabs on people, right? I mean, I know it's not hard to do with AI, but like, they're already keeping tabs on me. Satya's looking through the window right now. Anyways, he's like, what is he doing in there? But yeah, no, that would be a logistical nightmare. But good. I mean, not a bad idea. Like I'm saying, like, how would you stop people from doing what I said to do? I said, listen, man, if you don't want to get Game Pass, you don't have the money. Wait till December, and then for $20 or 20 whatever, $30, you could play all the games Xbox released in 1 year and 1 month for $30. You know what I mean? If you don't have the cash for it.
You and I've been saying, guys, when it comes to Game Pass, like you should be thinking about when should I sub? Not let me just sub over and over and over. Unless you stack them, like I would really highly recommend you don't have it debiting out the $30 US every single month. If you're not using,
I got gifted 1 month. Yeah. I got gifted 1 month from Grumpy Old Fart, a good friend of the channel.
Yeah,
and he gave it to me, and I've got it sitting right here on a piece of paper. I got the code. And when Forza Horizon 6 drops, guess what? I'm subbing for the one. I mean, I haven't subbed in Game Pass in like over a year now. So like what I do, I'm going to sub for the 1 month, play the living hell out of Forza Horizon 6 till I'm so sick of it I don't want to see it anymore, and done.
Yep.
That's it. Yep. And then everything else Xbox coming out this year, I'm buying on PlayStation. So, you know what I mean? Because my wife wants to play all those games. We game share. So, like, she wants to play all those games. I'm buying those games outright at the full price. Unfortunately for me, but it's just going to be what it is.
Yeah, just do the quick math and say,
just do whatever you want. Listen, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, do whatever
makes you happy. Whatever makes you happy, just do that. And don't worry about what people say about it. Be nice.
Be nice. Be nice. Who wants to drink from the fire hose? Joe Dunn, such a good movie. Joe Dunmore. Thank you for the 2. Says, I spend more money on Game Pass than games on Xbox. Yeah, I mean, it's $350 a year in the US if you're paying for Ultimate. It's around that. I spend more money on games than I do with my Game Pass subscription. Risk It goes, oh, you mean the faux pas or whatever that Rand messed up. Yeah, Risk It did the same mistake like a year ago. He accidentally misspoke and he just laughed it off because it was just an accident. And it was a great time. We enjoyed it. Nobody was mad. Yeah. Holy crap. What a great show. Guys, thank you so much. We got 700 plus people.
What a good time
we're done. Yeah, it's been amazing. We could keep talking more about the Helix and dive into details. And there was like the whole leaks thing that's been debunked, but you guys have been amazing. Stick around with Meg and I appreciate you so much. I'll do my outro first. I will probably be watching GDC stuff like a hawk and hopefully have a video Thursday morning before I leave out of town for the weekend, but I'll be gone. So no other content outside of that. And you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for your support for the Ecstasy podcast and my channel and for putting up with Mag as he sits here and podcasts every Monday night with no pants. Mag, what do you have going on? Tell everybody what's up.
Well, anyways, it was an awesome night tonight, chat. You guys were hilarious as always. And just everybody just rolls with it, man. It's so much fun. Like just ribbing each other, taking shots, making jokes, hurling insults, and then at the end of it, we're all laughing and having a great time, and that's all that matters, man. It's so much fun. So everybody, God bless you guys. You guys are amazing. Chat for being so amazing. On my channel this week, Madcast tomorrow night, 8:45 Eastern. 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard on my channel. Madcast will be on tomorrow night. We got much more to talk about. I will be dropping 1 or 2 videos during the week. Not really sure exactly what I'm going to be doing. And then Friday Night Live will return. I didn't do Friday Night Live last week because you and I did the XNC instead. So Friday Night Live will return. And as always, I leave it up to the community what I want to, what they want me to play. And I'll play whatever. And then we do that. And we have a little chitty chat and live streaming. That's been going really well too with the Resident Evil stuff. If you want me to do a speed run on Resident Evil, we even do that. Now, the other thing is next week, my new cooking video, I'm going to start producing actually this week and then hopefully film it before the weekend. And it's going to be coming out next week in honor of St. Patrick's Day. So channel members get access to that first, of course. And then, of course, it goes out to the public after that. And I will be doing a full cooking video on St. Patrick's Day. So we're going to be doing all that. It'll be a lot of fun, man. So yeah, so busy, man. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Busiest guy in YouTube, I swear. Like, it's funny. I call Mag and he's like, "What? What's going on? Yeah, no, I got time. I can talk about it. I'm sitting on the exercise bike right now."
He actually called me when I was exercising, and I'm like, I'm panting because I'm on the bike, so wasn't doing anything weird.
And I'm like, it had nothing to do with the pictures of myself I sent you, but it's been an awesome show. Thank you, everybody. Hit the like button on the way out. Appreciate everybody stopping by the show. Keep an eye on Mag's channel, like he said. He told you have to. We're out of here. Have a good night, guys. Enjoy your week.
Good night, everyone.
And be nice.